everybody, and welcome back to Encounter Roleplay. My name is Will. I'm a D&D sex icon, and I'm back today with yet another episode of The World Tree Burns. We've got a full cast and crew back with us tonight, so let's go into cast and crew. Let's figure out who we are and who we're playing. And let's start with our illustrious Dungeon Master, Dan Dillon. Dan, how you doing, my friend?
Doing very, very well today. Thank you very much for asking. I'm Dan. I'm the Dungeon Master. And I will be narrating these yahoos through their wondrous adventures.
Thanks so much, Dan. We also have with us tonight McCloken. How you doing, my friend?
Hi. I'm doing good. I got off work and I get to play D&D, so... And I have dinner in the oven. I'm playing Cloak, the lovable gnome ranger, who's never up to anything shady at all.
Mm-hmm. Sure. We also have Laurelania back with us tonight. Tia, how you doing?
I am doing great, having a great day. Thank you for asking. I am playing Kari. She is my Shadow Fae cleric of the cat domain. Someday I'm going to get that right. Someday I'm going to get through the whole intro without stumbling over the words. And yeah, I'm excited. Let's go. Let's play D&D.
Let's do it. We also have Cool School with us tonight. School, how you doing, my friend?
I am doing great and excited to be here. I am playing Glaz, who is our geomancer wizard, who is quite happy to get his new skills beginning to happen and manifest, and has just visited the Collegium, so he is doing great. Very, very good, thank you.
And last but not least, we have Josh back with us tonight. Josh, how you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I'm good. I am returning as the Dampier Kane, who's a ranger, and that is probably the most I'm going to talk all night, because Kane is not a talker. Kane is a required individual.
Great stuff. And that is all of us. Aside from myself, I'll be playing Riordan, the Dampier cleric of the party, the Hunger Domain. And he's saving up for a suit of armor that he definitely can't afford, so I'm looking forward to getting to that today. Of course, before we dive into the game, I remind you guys that we're sponsored by Kobold Press here. Go over to koboldpress.com, check out your own Midgard books in PDF or print. I believe they do ship internationally, so go check them out. Recommended reading is the Midgard Heroes Handbook, and of course the World Book as well. Well worth a read to spice up your own D&D campaigns with new races and classes and fantastic locations. Of course, we're also sponsored by Fantasy Grounds. Go to fantasygrounds.com. They've got a huge Steam summer sale on at the moment on pretty much all of their products, so now is the best time to get involved in Fantasy Grounds and start playing your own tabletop role-playing games at home with your friends. And of course, whalengames.co.uk for all of your D&D mini needs, along with just millions of other board games and miniatures that you can hope to get for up to 20% off the retail value. Of course, you can follow, retweet, and donate to affect today's game, so be sure to help us along the right way and retweet that tweet there. Other than that, I'll hand over to Dan once again to remind us what happened last week on the show and to get into today's events.
Yes, indeed. So where last we left our heroes, I believe we had immediately left off with Riordan staring at the destroyed interior of a forge where he had gone to meet with the aforementioned armor smith about the incredibly expensive armor that he had commissioned without the means to pay for it. So that was going to be interesting. So, but leading up to that, the party was recovered from their assault on the cultists in the cartways and had decoded a strange, or discovered at least, a strange cipher hidden in the journal that they'd recovered for their employer. Their employer, one of the powerful wizards at the Arcane Collegium, the university for wizardry and other magic in Zobek. They realized they had something interesting on their hands, and rather than turn it over and perhaps that be the end of it, they decided to have a copy made for themselves so that they could decode whatever is hidden in this journal in their own leisure time. So they engaged a rare bookseller and sort of on the side scribe, name of Olmar, who had a reputation for discretion that Kane had heard of in his all of his kicking around Zobek all of these years. So they paid this scribe to copy the relevant portions of the journal, so they have that copy themselves now. They turned the diary in to their employer, the Master Diviner at the Arcane Collegium, and learned some disturbing facts upon delivering their full report of what they discovered down in the cartways. And the Master Diviner was quite concerned at the activity down there, that a great deal of different types of dark magic were being blended and woven together in a way that he found very disturbing. So after paying them, he mentioned that he would be incredibly interested in learning any more information they could find about the identity of this individual who managed to steal the journal in the first place, and who seems to be using it to some sort of nefarious purpose, the exact nature of which is yet unknown. One other important detail. The party have realized that several of them, I believe everyone except Glaz and Kari, have been touched by the Shadow Realm, and they are all afflicted with one level of shadow corruption, which makes them a little bit down, a little bit dour, a little maudlin, and makes them have difficulty relating to other people who aren't creatures of the Shadow Plane. And it also makes them... their kind of interpersonal interactions, reading other people and influencing them, are quite heavily impaired because of this strange malaise weighing on them. But no worries, it'll wear off in about a week, so that'll be fine. And so why don't we pick up right where we left off? Riodan, you have just opened the door into the Everforged smithy, and you have found the interior in a state of chaos and disarray. There are tools overturned. There are the last dying embers of the forge have been upset and knocked onto the floor and have scorched a great scattered pattern of black marks into the wood. And there are suits of armor knocked akimbo, and there's a sort of telling and troubling blood stain nearby the forge that sort of drags toward the door and then peters out.
Lot of blood for a smith. They're not using bloodsmithing here, presumably, so I would like to follow the trail of blood back to its source, if there is one.
Can I tell what kind of blood it is?
I think, am I here alone?
I don't think we're there.
My understanding is you were there alone. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're looking for the source of the blood, or just trying to follow the trail?
Follow the trail, yeah. Just follow it back to where it looks like it comes from.
So it looks like it originates in the actual forge itself, not too far from, in the actual workshop, not too far from the forge proper. It looks like someone was injured there and perhaps knocked to the ground and bled, and then dragged, and then either picked up or stood up. And the blood trail just sort of ends there. So they weren't bleeding too profusely. There isn't like spurted blood drops that you can follow.
I look around for a freshly minted suit of armor.
I thought you might. So you do indeed see the cuirass of a suit of plate armor is actually sort of dangling from the anvil by one of its straps, and sort of gleeful, like, hey, maybe you can make out of this all right. Your heart sinks a little bit as you examine it and the nearby other pieces of the armor. It looks like her work was interrupted and it is unfinished. Several of the straps are unattached, and you can see that she was in the process of making some alterations to the hard plates of the armor. You think you could... you could probably make it work, but it would not be at 100%.
Would it be more effective than just the leather armor I'm wearing now?
Well, so if we're going to talk mechanically, it will function as plate armor, but you will be suffering the non-proficiency penalties because it's not fitted correctly, and you'd kind of be slapdashing it. However, if you're looking for some heavier armor, there is quite a bit of other armor in here. So while the plate does not seem to be super functional unless you want to suffer all that disadvantage, there might be something else you could find, at least in the meantime.
Yeah, I look back to the trail of blood. I'll be right back. Wait just there. first things first. Time to get my investment. And I take a snoop.
All right, so you find, as far as completed suits of armor, you find various suits of light and medium armor. Heavy armor is more piecemeal, as heavy armor is more often made to order. So you see components of many suits of heavy armor, but nothing really ready to go except for a few suits of chainmail.
Okay. Well, it's just... And I'm going to take a few minutes just to strap on my own plate armor, because I want it. My plan is, Riodan's plan is to go and find her and get her to finish her job, because she's done a slapdash job, in my opinion.
Well, it looks like she was interrupted in the middle of doing the job she was commissioned.
Wait.
Why don't you give me an intelligence investigation check for all of the looking around you've been doing?
Yeah. Surely take a look around. Oh yes. Let's see. Say +1, so 12.
12 will do it. So you're pretty sure, based on the state of the blood on the floor, and also just kind of the how burnt down the forge is itself. Assuming that it was at full operation, whatever this kerfuffle was probably happened sometime yesterday. Possibly looking like maybe a full 24 hours at this point.
Yeah.
So it looks like, whatever happened here happened about a day, maybe a little more ago.
Well, that's troubling indeed. Probably shortly after I commissioned her, maybe?
It looks probably the next morning, essentially.
Next morning, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well.
So you said you were strapping on your armor. Are you going to go ahead and put the plate armor on, even though it's not really functioning, or just want to gather it up?
Yeah, no, I'm going to put it on because Riodan's sick of getting hurt quite so badly. Even if it's not like comfortable a fit, he'd rather have it on right now. Especially if someone's been killed or attacked here recently. There's no body, so they just attacked. But he'll strap it on.
Okay, so that will take you a good 10-ish minutes, I think, to strap all the plate armor on.
Yep.
So you can spend your time doing that, and so you'll be suffering the non-proficiency penalties, essentially, wearing this armor.
Yep.
So you can do that. As you are gathering the armor up, lifting up one of the greaves sections off of the floor, you find a strange thing tucked beneath it. As you grab the metal plate, it's warm to the touch, like noticeably warm. And you think for a moment that maybe some of the coals had fallen under here and was kind of burning under it. But what you actually find is a small, looks like a reddish-black disc.
Interesting. How big are we talking here? I'll pick it up.
So it would probably fit in the hollow of the palm of your hand.
Okay. I'll take it. See what it is.
Okay, so examining it, it is very warm to the touch, like almost uncomfortably so, but not quite. And it almost looks like it's maybe like a disc of rock. Or obsidian, perhaps, with this kind of faint reddish glow running through it. And you turn it over, and it has sort of almost a concave shape. And the more you look at it, the more this reminds you of a scale.
Strange. I wonder if my friend Glaz might know a bit more about this than I do. He's a clever sort.
All right.
Yes. Seemingly having found all of the clues from around here, and it doesn't look like blood trail leads off into like down the street or anything that I can follow, right?
It looks like it leads out into the main sort of the front office of the kind of the almost like, it's not exactly a showroom, but like the front room of the smithy, and it kind of peters out there. So it looks like maybe they could have been headed towards the front door.
But no body, so they either made it out and that she's fine, or something took her away, like that droll fellow before who teleported. Yes, I immediately realizing that this could be something more. Take the disc take my armor, and head back to, goodness, wherever I think they're going to be. Is it the hedgehog that I think they're at the moment?
Well, you remember Glaz. You remember Glaz talking about checking out the hedgehog, so that could very well be where he ended up.
Holy mother of God, he's going to be checking out the hedgehog. How are they going to expect me not to make jokes? I run back.
All right. So yeah, you can, yeah. So you have to go, a fair bit across town from the gear district down to the Collegium, but it doesn't take you terribly long, and you head up to the door, and you can see that it's still pretty early morning, I imagine. Riodan, does Riodan sleep in, or is he one to hit the day early and not let the grass grow under his feet?
Yeah, he probably gets up early enough. Allows himself a little bit of lion time, maybe.
All right. So it's probably a little bit later in the morning, not too terrible. There are still some people, it looks like, enjoying breakfast. You can see scholarly types at tables with open books, cups of tea, and some light breakfast on a few of the tables. And Glaz, you are absolutely here. What are you doing of a morning?
I am glowing with so much just happiness that I am here in the hedgehog, and there are all these people. I am going from table to table. Oh, good morning. How are you doing? It's so good to see you. What are you studying? What is that book that you have there? Oh, that's a lovely treatise that you've got. And I've got... I'm probably walking around with, like, under my arm, like a chess set or some other very intellectual type game, maybe something along those lines. You care for a game? I brought my own little set here that we could maybe do this if you'd like to. They let me borrow it back at the bar, but they have others. We could get that if you'd like to. Would you like to have a game or something? I can buy. Tea? Do you need more tea? And he's just trying to make friends with everybody. This big 7-foot tall trollkin.
All right, you're about 50-50 on people being willing to sort of jump in and discuss with you about whatever they're doing, and the other half are more like not exactly rude, but terse in saying, "Oh, excuse me, please. I'm very busy this morning." Yes, perhaps
I totally understand. I totally understand. You get back to your work. I will move along. Maybe some other time. And he moves on.
All right, so where is everybody else at this time?
I'm with Glaz because we're gonna go to the library. So he'd be like, I feel like this is like someone at a convention and they're getting to see all their friends again. And he basically every 5 feet he'd be like, "Oh my God, Glaz, let's just eat and go. Oh God, don't say hi to him. Oh my God. All right, yes, no, what's he studying? Okay, no, okay, Glaz. And he's trying to follow after him.
I was like, yes, okay, I'm coming. I will talk to you later. Yes.
Okay.
Come back out to the library.
I had wanted to follow Cloak to the library after the last encounter at the library last night to make sure that nobody tries to bully him anyways.
Right.
But I try to hang behind and just kind of practice stealthing around my friends like I would in the Shadow Fae, following them. Even if they catch me, I'll just be like, you got me. But trying to keep up with being my sneaky stealth.
So there's a blazing sunlight streaming in through the front windows and also the door every time someone opens it. So you're enjoying staying on the other side of the common room, nice and far away from those, as the sun has an unpleasant effect on your eyes and your skin, and you can just sort of feel it, almost like waves of heat from across the room. It's very distracting. So about this time, Glaz, you hear this faint sound, just like the barest echo of just sort of a high-pitched note, almost like some sort of wind instrument, just barely reaching your ears, just enough to catch your attention, and then it's gone. Yeah. And then a second or two later, you kind of cock your head to the side and prick your ears up and listen hard for it. About that time, Riodan comes in through the front door in extremely ill-fitting plate armor that kind of clanks and bangs a little more than it ought. And but you catch another just faint strain of that sound when he comes in. It's a little bit louder.
Oh,
Friends, I might have something for us. It's very important. This is my new armor.
Glaz, Glaz, of all things, probably never done this before, reaches out and just puts his finger on Riodan's lips and just a moment. Shh. And he starts listening harder. Can he hear it? So, I mean, yes, it's very awkward, but he does not care.
Yes. Yes, you hear another just faint, high-pitched note. It is a little bit clearer, but it's almost like you're hearing something similar to a recording or something that is reaching you from far away, but now like the window is open, so the sound, even though it's coming from a great distance, comes through just a little bit clearer, and it's definitely clearer now that Riodan is here.
So, I was going to say, can I sense a direction, but it's sort of almost like he's being acting almost like as a focus for it for some way?
Almost, yeah. Like, imagine if Riodan were a window that you opened to hear a distant sound better. That's sort of how it seems to you.
What have you done? What have you done?
I haven't done anything.
Something.
Look, a woman very well may be dead or disappeared. She's almost finished my armor. This one here, a dwarf woman, I think. And when I went there's a blood trail on the floor leading out. No body.
Right, can I?
Yes.
Wait. We're in fucking public. Shut the fuck up. What yeah.
I really don't mind. They all know. They're all nerds, aren't they?
So you look around, and several of these robed scholarly types are just sort of like, teacups paused halfway to their mouth, and they're all just sort of watching.
Maybe they can help. I mean, I don't know.
No. Okay, let's go to this booth in the dark corner, and keep our hushed tones down instead of the middle of the tavern. It's very nice. It's very lined very nicely, like with leather and all that kind of stuff. It's super soft, and it dampens the sound of us talking about completely harmless prank stuff. Don't worry about us, because I'm a gnome.
Cloak walks off. Just kind of glances to everybody and then just shakes her head and looks at the two gentlemen with the teacups and just kind of narrows her eyes slowly at them, like, don't even think about repeating it.
Yeah, Kari, as you're watching them, when Cloak makes his little pronouncement, everything's fine because I'm a gnome, and sort of trundles off, one of them shudders and turns almost his whole body away from you guys. So yep, nope, all good. So it looks like the interest you had drummed up slowly manages to return to whatever its personal business might be, and you guys can get a quiet corner where you want to talk.
So if noise follows Riodan, Glaz just is staring almost open-mouthed at Riodan, that he's more listening to the sound than what Riodan's saying.
What is this new armor that you're wearing again? Sorry, I didn't. What?
He's wearing plate armor. Yeah.
But it's awful.
It looks a little awkward. Like some of the straps are not. Yeah, some of the straps look like they're not affixed properly, and the left half of the cuirass looks like it's a little misshapen, like it's been dented or bent out of shape, or was in the process of being forged but never quite finished, so that it's not hanging quite well on him. It's really impeding his ability to move, well.
Can I roll investigate?
Sorry, what are you wondering about?
With your investigation?
No. I want to roll investigate on his armor. I want to see, because he talked about how he got this armor made. Is the blacksmith's signature mark on this armor?
I mean, that doesn't even really take a roll. You can kind of just check it over, and you can find a smith mark. Absolutely. And the mark is in the form of a small anvil with a stylized flame sort of around it, engulfing the anvil.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool and all. You got new armor. Do you know her signature is on that armor, right?
She was some dwarven woman. I wasn't really paying attention. But listen, the important thing is that she's got there's bloodstains, and then there's this as well. And I get up the disc very theatrically.
So he pulls out this thing that looks like, maybe a stone disc. Imagine half solidified lava, where it's sort of like this black, almost bubbly-looking melted wax flow stone in the shape of a scale. But then you can see that sort of ruddy glow in between some of the whirls and loops of the otherwise cooled rock, sort of glowing out of it. And as he holds it up, Glaz, you hear a very clear note that then fades away.
I can see Glaz like licking his lip. As he's.
Yeah, I was gonna say there might be a little drool coming off of his tusks. What? Where did you get that? What is that? Can I see that, please?
Yes, go ahead, take it. She wasn't there, bloodstained. This was here, and she hadn't finished my armor, so I'm gonna have to find her to finish the job, or get someone else to finish it up for me, because it's quite important that I'm.
No, because that just okay.
Did you see Cloak? Did you see this?
Report it to the local guards.
I see that. That looks amazing, and I kind of want to tinker with it. But the problem is that if anyone's seen Riordan go into that house today and see blood all over the place, and he walks out with a new plate mail, the guards are going to be like, I wonder where that dude went. And he's walking around in her armor because, that's not shady at all. I know.
Well, we have this as evidence. I'm sure the mortals aren't too worried about all that, and if needs be, I'll just glamour them. It's not my first run-in with the law.
I tend to agree with the little one on his reasoning. Perhaps we should be the first to report this to the authorities.
Go and hand myself in. Goodness.
Well, okay.
No, you
all right.
didn't.
I got a story. Hold on. This is what you tell them, right? You say you bought this armor from her, right? And then you're like, oh, this armor doesn't feel so good, And so you went to go back, be like, hey, can you do some fit changes? And then when you went back, there was blood all over the place, and she was missing. And this armor was already in your possession. We just had to really bank on that. No one's seen you go in and out.
I mean, if they come asking questions, I suppose I could say that. But, Glaz, do you have any idea what that thing is?
I'm not. Let me examine it a little bit more closely. It has definitely got some kind of. I believe. I don't know. Do I know what it is? Can I cast like identify on it?
You could make an intelligence arcana check.
Can I assist him in that?
Sure. You guys can put your heads together and.
So that means I get to roll with advantage, yes?
Correct, yes.
Okie dokie. That is a 22.
Nice. All right. So looking at the scale, you guys can put together that it is most definitely reptilian of some sort in nature. And given the size of it, your heart kind of skips for a second, because the first thing that jumps to your mind is dragon.
Oh. Can I roll nature?
In fact, a flame dragon, if the texture and other sort of elemental markers of the scale are what you think they might be.
Do you think?
Yes, this appears to be. It appears to be a flame dragon scale.
Do you think it could be? Cloak, do you think that's possible? Could it really be? Could it be?
I mean, everything looks like it. Man, look at the texture of it, and look at the feel of it, and oh god, the smell too.
I noticed the smell. That because with that sulfury smell, that's a flame dragon. Yes,
and a little bit of charcoal hint in there.
Yes, absolutely. But it's very interesting. When I hear the ley lines, I couldn't hear it, but then when he walked in with this, and now that I'm holding this, I'm hearing a ley line.
So as Another result of your Arcana check is that you are quite certain now, having handled it and examined it closely, this scale is not only from a flame dragon, it is also steeped in ley energy.
You will not believe it. Well, you will believe it. Well, it, like all things with magic,
will believe
what will
it.
happen? Yes, well, let me explain it to you. So see, just like we had those books, remember the book that we had? And we could see that there was shadow magic, because it had been in presence of shadow magic for a very long time, the notebook. This scale has been in the presence of ley magic for a very long time. It has absorbed it. It is seeping with ley magic. It is incredible. Well, then we must know. We can think the flame dragon must be somewhere near a powerful ley line and has been there for a very long time.
Well, wait. So, could this be used as a component of some sort? Maybe they took it from the dragon that was with ley lines, or the scale was with someone who's been with a lot of ley lines, right?
Well, perhaps, certainly there are different animals that you use different things to use for enchantments, for spells, for potions, for all kinds of magical things. You sometimes need to have pieces and parts. I do not know if this lady was working in magical armors, or perhaps I wonder, you're right, she's a crafter. Maybe she had it herself, or whoever brought her and made her bleed all over the floor perhaps dropped it. But this is to drop something like this. Oh, can you imagine the luck that we would get something that someone had just dropped? If I ever dropped something like this, I'd go look and look and look. You would not be able to stop me from looking if I dropped something like this.
I believe you. Also, Dave has given everybody a nat 20. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
This has given me a D10,000 Wild Magic Surge that I will look up in just a jiffy. Here we go, 572, nice and low. So Riordan.
Do it.
Let's see. I can't be charmed by anyone of the opposite sex. True enough.
All right.
Powers of resistance are legendary.
Quick, get Sid.
I'm sorry, Carrie. It would never have worked with us.
How did that go?
What you're saying is it's some kind of dragon thing, and a dragon did this.
A flame dragon is on the large side, so I'm not thinking you've got a dragon who is waltzed into a blacksmith. I mean, I've heard of people using dragon fire, but I do not. I mean, was it a very large space? Could a dragon fit inside of it? Dragons are large; they are very big, and in the middle of town, someone would probably know this about the dragon. But I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but not very often.
There was a small.
Are there any stories of fire dragons, like creating the Gear Forged, or anything to do mentioned in the Ruminations of Werner Strauss, or anything that comes to mind that would link these two things together?
So, from the diary, there was really no mention of any specific dragons. It looks like the Strauss family had occasionally attempted to open trade negotiations with the Maroti Empire, also known as the Dragon Empire. It is quite literally ruled by dragons. And they are a warlike expansionist society that has recently been gaining ground. They exist in the sort of the southeast.
Anonymous dispensation.
Phoenix is here.
With a £50 donation. Sorry, but also not sorry, Will. From now on, everything you say out of character is said in character. Oh, interesting.
All right.
That is an interesting challenge which has just now been posed to me from my goddess, Marie.
So you are always on.
I'm always on in many ways. Yes.
Got it.
Wow, that's going to be fun.
That is a terrible thing to do.
Kane looks at Riordan as the hilarious thing is that even means that when you're describing what Riordan does, you are now going to be narrating your life.
Yep.
That's going to be awesome.
I speak like I'm a character in a third-person role-playing video game.
So the way I'll be
Okay.
the way I'll be thinking of this and conceptualizing it in the game is that Riordan is basically just constantly kind of muttering to himself, and just how you might like talk out a conversation in your head, but you might kind of talk it out loud, or talk through a problem as you're trying to figure something out. That's what he's doing constantly. So anytime he asks a game mechanics question, you can imagine Riordan just sort of like muttering and see the little geometry floating around.
Kari would like to pay close attention to Riordan's mutterings in the future. Just putting that out there right away. Assume I'm always trying to keep an ear like, what is he? Why is he?
Okay, no problem.
So, question: there was no guards there currently, right? At the forge.
No, Riordan.
Sorry, no guards there at
no.
all. I don't think it'd been here for at least 24 hours, so no one had found anything. It's not like there's a body, Cloak. It was just some blood on the floor. It wasn't enough for her to be dead either. It looked more like she had disappeared or run out. She may be in hiding, or maybe she's been teleported somewhere to safety.
Magnanimous dispensation.
Oh, Phoenix is going ham.
A voice from above. I'm going to put the love in. I'm going to sort of character. I'm going to spread the love more. Josh, my friend, pal, you are amazing. However, you also say everything out of character in character. That's so much easier for him. He
really is.
Wait. No, this means that Kane is actually going to be speaking a lot.
A lot.
Kane,
He's going to be talking non-damn stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a damper. That's
Yay.
Goodness, I'm feeling it.
Kari was going to say, where there's dragons, there's usually treasure. Perhaps we should go back and take another look as to why this is brought here.
And we can follow Puff-Puff's nose.
That is a
That's why I
very
brought
good
it to you.
idea.
Immediately, you all have good senses for these sorts of things. I'm glad. I thought you'd know something about that.
Well, yes, I know some, but there's so much more that we could possibly learn about this. It is, do you see this? And he's basically been gulping down coffee. So Glaz is over caffeinated now and excited about the dragon scale and trying to make friends.
Fantastic.
And, actually, you know what? I just need to do a thing because this would be Glaz. I'm making a quick wisdom check on myself. On a 15, he holds it together. Otherwise, he was going to go start showing everyone in the room the scale.
All right.
Of course, he would share. He has got look. Have you all seen what I have? Yeah, no, he didn't. He was like, right. He actually looks at Cloak as he's about to hop out of the booth. And
That's also a wild magic surge on Josh and a bear to attack the party. Goodness gracious me. We're in a hedgehog and bears are attacking.
Well, there's no real opportunity.
Anyone's wondering.
No real opportunity for a bear to attack you right now, but noted.
Glaz, I'll hang on to that for the time being, because I think you have too much. How much coffee did you have?
only 6 cups. Okay, I've had
The
6 cups of coffee.
Today? Or this week? Which...
Just the past
This
10
morning?
minutes.
I was making friends. I was walking around, and you sit down, you have a cup of coffee with me, and it's a wonderful thing. See? And then they talk to you, and then you have nice... And we almost had a game. See? Yes, maybe you should take this, Cloak.
Big crash. We should get him to the
Yes.
site before he crashes and dies.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Okay, let's go. Let's
I have
bring
a
that
very good
energy on the way
constitution.
there. Yeah, that's this is the way to start your morning. I would like to go to the library at some point in time, but I mean, let's go. Let's just go. Before I get sidetracked again. Yeah.
So back
Yes.
to the forge. Is that where we are headed?
To the forge,
yeah,
I'll
we're-
show you the way. Dwarven lady,
We're going
as
to
I
the
think
forge and
is
all
place.
looking not inconspicuous at all. Okay.
We blend. See, we blend.
Totally normal.
Zobek, everyone looks weird.
It's Zobek. Everybody's
look at the people here. And look at the people in the hedgehog.
fine.
People are strange. I mean, look at that guy. What's going on there?
That is a very well-known scholar. Shh.
So he is currently pointing. He is currently pointing at the bartender, who is the owner of the hedgehog. He is sort of a human man, just kind of getting into middle age, and his head is bald. You can't tell if he's just naturally bald or if he shaves it, but he is kind of leaning on the bar and sort of returning Riodan's gaze with one eye crooked up. Glaz, you've also picked up rumors that this fellow used to be a student at the Collegium, but was expelled because of diabolism, meaning trucking with devils.
Just he was expelled. Don't talk about it. No one likes to talk about it. It is a huge scandal because he was consorting with devils.
Oh,
I think that means he was having sex.
My, that sounds more interesting now. Right? Maybe not everyone here is a total loser. Well, let's get down to the Smith. Let's find.
No, many people win at the game. It is very good. Would you like? We could play sometime. They're not losers at all. They're actually quite good.
Let's go, I think.
If Kari had a tail, it would be switching back and forth impatiently right now in that pissed off cat way. She stands at the back, just like staring holes through the back of their heads as they are loud and obnoxious through the library. Or not library, tavern.
As we walk out the door, he would look at Glaz and be like, I don't think you understand what diabolism means. You don't have sex with them? I turned on and off real quick. Hi.
Hey, but I know that's not always, but I mean, have you heard of a succubus? I was reading all about them. Apparently you have these things called succubuses. And they come and don't look at me like that. It was in a book. It is true.
Is that
there are
the only
incubuses
thing
and
you
there are
run?
succubus. Whatever your flavor might be.
All right. So as this is happening, you guys are heading back toward the Everforge armor smith, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That's how they are.
All right. So it's pretty much on the opposite side of the city. So you'll have to make your way through, Upper Zobek, the Temple District, and then into the Gear District. So it's quite a ways, and it'll be a fairly long walk. As you're going, Riodan, you can tell that this armor is incredibly uncomfortable. And just to give you a little bit of a refresher, you are going to be at disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks related to strength or dexterity, and you are unable to effectively cast spells while wearing this armor.
That's fine.
Okay. So you guys take a long walk through the late morning, getting toward noon, into the Gear District, and find yourself on the little side street that leads you to the Everforge smithy. I'd say you probably shut the door on your way out, at least, so the door is as closed as it can be. Anyway, it looks like it was broken in, so it doesn't latch or lock. But it looks like nobody else has noticed the disturbance at this point.
Is anyone watching this place?
Like, specifically watching it, or is anyone around? Are you wanting to know if someone is like very? Oh, sure. Like, there are people out and about on the streets.
Okay.
You can see there are other businesses and smiths hereabout that people are going and entering into their establishments.
Okay.
So yeah, this place isn't abandoned.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, like, can I roll perception to see if anyone's like shady watching this and like, or like just taking much notice of the shop?
Sure. Why don't you give me a wisdom perception check?
Also, Josh, why don't you tell us what you got on that wild magic surge?
I got a 5.
It is so good.
A 5. A 5. You keep getting distracted because Glaz keeps like tapping you on the shoulder, saying, "Hey, let me tell you about this other demon I read about." He's still buzzing and shaking a little bit.
They're all sex demons. I'm like, God damn it.
No, most of them are just run-of-the-mill horrible demons.
Goodness, Kate, are you? Ew.
Are you all right, my friend? You do not look so good.
No, ew.
Did you
Where
like,
did that come from?
Did you just like hawk something up into your hand?
It looks like he's just disgorged an elephant's femur from some kind of wild magic stud.
Cheaters.
Goodness.
That
Did he eat an elephant?
Very phlegmy.
I'm holding the elephant femur and looking at Kane, and I'm like, this peg does not fit in that hole.
It must be a ley line.
Hungry.
Well,
You can eat a whole elephant.
Did you literally eat an elephant?
and ate the
Where would you
bone?
even gotten an elephant?
That's my question.
Okay, that is not right. That is just not right. How long has that been brewing in you, my friend? Are you even Glaz is like a little freaked out.
Yeah.
Sure.
Have you been having sex? Have you been having sex with demons?
Oh, that would make sense. Elephant demons.
As we're having this conversation, I have gone inside and shut the door because they are all having a conversation in front of this place, and he's just like, nope.
All right. So cloak on the inside. It's basically dark. You have maybe some dim light from the sunlight that filters in from outside, which allows you to see pretty well, thanks to your dark vision. And the place has been tossed. It's been just sort of looks like a pitched battle erupted in here, and you can pretty quickly find the blood stain on the floor and the little drag mark to maybe 3 or 4 feet before it disappears.
I'm going to have Puff smell, and I'm going to roll survival to track or get an idea, or if I can track anything, like if I see like specks of blood going and leading out of here somewhere.
Okay, you can essentially make that check with advantage because Puff will be assisting you.
Okay. Yeah! That would be a 13.
Okay. So there's a very faint trail, but it looks like there's not a whole lot of physical trail left behind, but it looks like because Puff is able to scent in on something that you think you have an actual trail you can follow for at least a moment. She kind of sniffs around at the floor toward the door and then looks up at you, looks back to the door and goes, "Urgh."
All right, let's go. And then I would open the door and then start following her.
Okay. You're muted, Tull.
So basically, as we're standing out in the outside watching the disgorgement of a elephant femur, Cloak has gone in, done all this, come back out, and now he's headed down the street.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Unless anyone else wants to investigate the area, do anything else.
I've already been
Did
here.
you find the dragon?
No dragon, just a scent. I don't know what it is.
Wait, here we come! Glaz bundles things up and looks again at the femur and just he starts going after him, femur in hand, because I think I was the last person who held it.
Gross. All right, so that is not little.
Oh yeah.
Are you just
I mean,
Yeah.
Glaz is not little either. So I think
Sure. But you're just gonna like toss this thing on your shoulder and carry it along with you?
I think he's so distracted by the fact that Cloak might have found the dragon that he probably doesn't even notice. He's probably carrying it, unless it's. I mean, can he do that, or do I need to say that he throws it down? Is I super encumbered by this, or is it okay?
No, you can carry it. Sure.
Glaz is far too distracted with that Cloak might be on the scent of a dragon to realize that he's carrying an elephant femur over his shoulder right now.
He looks
Probably a
very
slimy-
Trollkin-esque.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys head off down the street, basically following Puff Puff and Cloak. So you guys make your way down the street, and Puff is sort of leading the way. And you have like a lead or a leash kind of rope on her, don't you? Or are you just kind of letting her go?
I have a
Okay.
leash, but I'm like, I'm not holding it tight. I'm like holding it loose and next to her and just kind of
Sure.
letting her guide.
Okay, so she picks up the pace a little bit and actually pulls it tight on her own, sort of tugging you along down the street. She takes you down perhaps a block and a half or so, and then turns into an alleyway. And toward the back of the alleyway, you see there's almost like an iron barred cellar door at the back of a building with stone steps leading down that you can see to another thick, stout door banded in iron past it.
And she's leading me here.
Yep. So she kind of paws at the bars. Ka-chunch, 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 ka-chunch.
No. Shh. And then I would wait for the others to notice him as they I imagine they just saw him dip down into the alley, following or with Puff Puff, and then he would
I
take
assume
Puff
they
Puff.
were they were following along, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah, Glaz is right behind them because he thinks that he's now starting to wonder if this elephant bone might not be a dragon bone because he's caffeinated.
Okay.
He would kind of go back to the entrance of the alley and kind of like cut them off and be like,
Puff Puff brought me to cellar doors, and so just be quiet because they could be waiting for us there. Okay, so it might be an ambush because it might be that powerful mage again.
Glaz totally is looking
That's exactly
around.
what I was thinking.
All right. So
And then-
what's
and then go back to the door and then is it locked?
the iron barred kind of gate blocking off the stairwell, that little angled cellar door kind of deal? Yes, it is locked.
Does anyone know how to pick a lock?
No. I mean, in theory, yes. In practice, less so.
Do you? Is this where we are supposed to go? Is this where we are supposed to go?
Yeah, this is where Puff Puff brought me.
Seems like it.
Is there
the dogs.
space under the
Go ahead.
door, or is it really tightly sealed?
So what you're looking at right now is kind of like the cellar doors, like the angled cellar doors that would be on outside of a house that you would open up.
Yeah,
and there would
yeah.
be steps down
The
into a
storm
basement.
cellars,
So
Yeah.
it's essentially one of those storm cellars, except instead of flat doors, it's like a grated barred gate. And then down there you can see there's a door. So there's certainly space
Gotcha.
past the gate down the stairs, and then it looks like the door is pretty sturdy. It's hard to tell if there's a gap or anything like that.
But there's
If
a
I
lock
was on the other side
gate.
of the gate, you would think oh yeah, okay, damn.
So yeah, is there a lock on the gate here? Right at the angled gate
Yeah.
goes down to a vertical door.
Yes, the
And there's
angled
a
gate
lock
is
on
locked.
the angled gate. Okay.
Yep.
Well, it's not the crowbar, but it might do. And I lift up the elephant femur. I can give it
All
a
right.
try.
Why not? If it is the demon guys again, we'll be ready. Or we'll just run away.
Just don't
It won't
make a
be
lot of
quiet.
noise.
Well, it won't be. It's quiet. I'm about to hit a iron gate with a elephant dragon femur. It was not, and he just hits it.
Well said.
All right. Well, you can make me a strength check to try and break the lock.
That's an 11.
11. So there's a kind of a resounding kapang, but the lock holds steady for the moment.
See, not so quiet. But now that we've made the noise, should we just? I'll just keep beating on it. I kind of look to Cloak and Riodan.
He's looking to the end of the alley now because it's already too late. And he's watching to see if anyone pays attention.
My philosophy is once you start bashing, you may as well finish.
That's a nat 20 for me to hit it again.
Well, there it is. So Glaz kind of spits in his palms, rubs them together, and gets some of the caffeine jitters out, takes a deep breath, and just two-hand whips this femur around and smashes the little bracket holding the lock on, and it just ping goes flying down the alleyway. Clang, 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 clang.
Do you see the angle I got on that? That was pretty good, yeah.
Is this your new weapon, or are you just gonna...
It should be some kind of sport.
I cast spells and I club people to death. That's what I do.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so the lock is broken away from the gate.
I make my way to the other door to see if that one is locked.
Well, I guess we got to open it again, and we don't have anyone to check for traps. So Glaz is pretty proud of it. So yeah, he's just gonna pull it right open and get ready for the next check.
You can still check for traps. You don't have to have the proficiency in it, right? Like, I still want to check the door for traps.
Well,
yeah,
you know,
I mean,
anyone can make a perception or investigation check to check it out and see if they notice anything amiss.
I would like
I
to
will.
a perception.
I will
Sure.
join in that perception as well.
I'll watch
20.
you. Seems like this is your kind of thing.
I got a
All
20.
right, so
Yeah.
Kari, you know, between the two of you, Kari and Cloak, you're pretty sure the door itself is not trapped. Now you're searching the grate, like the iron gate, the angled gate, or the actual vertical door.
No, the actual door.
The door.
The actual door.
The
Okay.
iron- Now, I was gonna say the iron grate would have, like, any trap would have activated with fucking Glaz beating it with a giant fucking bone.
Very likely indeed. Very likely indeed.
Have you met Dan?
So you
Literally boning it.
so
Have
you
you read some of the things he's written? I'm just saying.
you crank open the iron. Yeah, you crank open the iron gate, and thankfully it's not like horrible rusting hinges squealing into the morning. It opens relatively quietly with a little bit of a clank when it drops to the cobblestones, and you head down the steps. Your boots sort of scuff on the dusty stone, and the two of you get up to the vertical door and give it a very thorough going over. Kari seems quite distracted by the strange pattern the shadows make pooling near the top of the door frame. Cloak, however, is pretty satisfied that there is no nasty surprise waiting for you when you open this door. You also realize that there is no lock, but the door does not open. So you suspect with your check, it must be barred from the inside.
Something's blocking this door.
Can I see underneath the door again? Same question.
You can maybe see just a teeny bit under the door.
That's enough for me to Misty Step if I can see just a teeny bit. It's 30 space within an unoccupied place I can see.
Indeed. So Kari kind of presses her face up to the door jamb and like gets right up in there.
Oh, wait,
and kind of
I
goes,
can only do it once. Can I hear anything on the other side before we make this a permanent action? Is there sounds coming from the other side? Do I see any feet walking around in that tiny little like?
Nope, you don't see or hear anything on the other side. Nope.
Okay, I'm going in.
All right, so she
so cool when she does this.
She holds up
Can
her
I?
finger, says she's going in, and she takes a deep breath. And as she lets it out, she just melts into the shadows that are filling this little cellar stairway, and she's gone.
I love that.
Kari,
Give me chills every single time.
notes.
Please don't say roll initiative. Please don't say roll initiative. Please don't say roll initiative. Remember
There
how
is-
good a friend we are.
It's not like
There
there could be a bear in there or anything.
No bears in there. It's fine. Why the hell would there be a bear in the cellar of a gear district building?
I just live here. This is my
Yeah.
home.
First thing
Alright,
I try
so,
to do is unlock the door and let them in.
Sure.
It's like in
There's-
Detroit when the Bears are moving back into the city. Like,
there's a moment of this cool, just sort of dry, comforting feeling around you as you slip through the shadows. It's almost like a cool breeze, except it's just the closer touch of the Shadow Realm as you skim along the edge of it through the darkness. And the shadows sort of roll aside, and you step out into the cellar, and you look around, and it looks like there's really not much in here. There's a few boxes, a few crates, maybe like a cask or two, and on a shelf. And you turn around and you see that there is indeed a heavy wooden beam set in brackets barring the door. And you can just lever it up. It's pretty heavy, but
Okay.
it's you can move it. It's no problem. So you guys from outside hear a scraping noise, and then the door gives a little bit and then swings inward. And there's Kari waiting for you.
Okay. Shh.
So you all step in.
I am a master thief.
A little loud right now.
I thought you were a priest.
In this situation, I am a master thief. Come in.
It's surprising how
Okay.
often the two coincide, Cloak. Trust me.
All right. So
Wow.
so Puff Puff kind of darts inside and weaves between all of you once the door is open. Yeah. And she goes inside, and you can just hear her nose going. And she sort of trots through the room slowly, turns, and starts like pawing at a scrap of canvas that's on the floor. Shook, 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 and you can hear a scrape of wood from underneath it.
Okay, yeah, I'm bringing it up and
Yep, you whip the canvas aside, and there's a trapdoor
I'm
set in the stone floor of the cellar.
perceiving it to see if there's traps.
Sure.
7. I rolled a 4
Looks
plus
clear.
3.
Looks clear to me. All right, guys. If,
Mm,
what?
hmm,
What?
mm, mm.
What? It looks clear to me.
Glaz opens it. If Cloak says it's clear, Glaz is like, "Oh, okay, I'll open it up for us."
Don't you try.
Oh, Glad. You are so adorable.
And for you to, Dave, gives us all another nat 20 to all of the players.
Yay! Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to need it
Thank you
because
very
we're about to die.
We're gonna need it. Yeah.
All right, so you open up the trapdoor, and there is a stone tunnel leading straight down with iron rungs set into it, forming a ladder. Looks like this is yet another entrance into another section of the cartways.
Oh,
Oh, shit.
Oh, maybe this links back up with the one in the fuck house.
This could be useful. Were we not
Right.
supposed to go and investigate the body of the person that we had left slain down below here anyways? This may
I
give
think
us
you
more
guys had
answers.
decided.
I
I think you
don't
guys had
remember.
decided you'd been sitting for too long, and
Yeah.
it wouldn't be valuable
gave up.
because
Well,
of scavenging.
I know I did.
But there's still
Now
there's still
someone-
possibility that the people he was working with might be down there or something.
Oh, it's
yes.
certainly
Well,
possible.
certainly.
Also, the the dwarven lady might be alive. So, we should go save her.
Yes,
That's
there's someone. You think
Okay.
there's someone
I
who
mean,
said, well,
she has got a job to do still.
well, yes.
Okay.
So-
Well, I'll see you guys down there. Pop, pop. I'll see you down there.
And then I start climbing down.
Okay. So what are the rest of you doing while Cloak is climbing down?
Oh, I mean, I follow down as soon as there's enough room for me to get
All
down.
right, so everybody's just kind of clustered around the trapdoor, waiting their turn.
As we're going in, I look at Riordan and I say, "What do you mean that everyone gets nat 20s?"
Marina, she speaks to me often through me. Yes, it's a new gift of mine. I hear voices from everywhere and I send them into here. Our world. I'll see you down there.
She kind of looks at him quizzically and watches him go down. Just kind of looks around omnisciently into the air and just goes down.
Kari, you've heard stories of oracles. If he is one, that's very very interesting. So as you all begin to make your way down the ladder, Cloak, when you get down to the bottom, you hear a little "Urf" behind you, and you look, and there is Puff Puff, just sort of sitting in the faint light that's filtering down from up there, and just wagging her tail.
Oh, hey, girl. Hey. Hold on. Right, Glass is coming. Hold on. Let's move.
All right, so everybody
step on us.
makes your way. down the ladder into the cartway's tunnel. No problem. So you can see that this tunnel is not very well used. There's a lot of dust and kind of detritus down at the bottom, and you can see Cloak as Puff Puff begins sniffing around almost immediately once you kind of let her go and stop mashing up her face. You can see that there are scuff marks that seem relatively fresh. And she snuffles at those and sets off maybe 5 or 10 feet down the tunnel and then stops and looks back over her shoulder and just kind of waits for you.
Okay. I kind of look at Kane and go like this, and then like point at the scuff marks, and then go after Puff Puff, and then grab her leash so I don't lose her.
Alrighty. So once again, are you guys going just managing with your dark vision alone?
Yes.
Well, how dark is it down here? Is there zero light? So we're
zero light. So using your dark vision, you'll be in the equivalent of dim light.
Also,
So we're
Dan,
still
we
at
do have a
disadvantage for everything.
viewer decision at this point, so you guys can ask. You can answer chat a question, and we can supply
right.
some answers to that question.
Okay.
Are the gods the ones that view us?
Yes, they are. Yes, and often they make decisions. It seems to me as though, which seem to affect us in various different ways. Lots of them speak to me. These trickster gods.
so like the
feel
face.
Perhaps you are an oracle.
I find it very likely, darling. I mean, look at me.
All right. So one point of
That goes completely over her head.
one one little snag that comes up is Puff Puff cannot see in the dark, so she is going to be she slows down noticeably, and it looks like is having a little bit of trouble maneuvering because very quickly it becomes absolute pitch black. So she kind of snuffles at the floor, but then she sort of takes very hesitant, tentative steps around and looks around kind of toward you, but not exactly at you, and kind of gives a little,
It's okay, girls.
I would touch her and then be like, no, hold on. You just guide with your nose, and I'll be your eyes. And then he'll like walk with her.
Sure. So she kind of like leans her shoulder against your hip, and just sort of hip and side, given how tall she is, and just sort of stays right there, like touching you at all times and walking down the tunnel.
Oh no, I can help. And Glaz lights a torch.
Okay. All right. So there's a flare of light, and now you can all see much better.
Oh, you know that
Oh yeah, this is so much better.
the flame of subterfuge. I didn't realize you had it.
Sorry, Kari doesn't laugh. My bad.
Yeah, she didn't have a wild surge. All right, so you guys begin follow. I assume you're just going to follow the trail for as long as you can. Yes,
Oh, yeah.
that's kind of the plan. All right, so you follow a series of tunnels that sort of switch and turn, and you take various turns through these tunnels and caverns as you go, and you can more or less tell that you're heading in a northerly direction, which, if it keeps going this way, is going to put you outside the walls of Zobek.
That's fine. I'm trying to remember the way we took to get here, and then reversing it in my head so I know we know how to get back to the hidden trap door.
Okay. Sure. It's a little confusing, but being able to see more clearly helps quite a bit. And you think you can probably find your way back, certainly by backtracking your trail, if nothing else.
Okay.
All right. So perhaps after another 5 minutes or so, you guys come to a set of stairs leading upward toward another door. And that's where the trail is
coming from that door.
You can indeed see a faint outline of daylight sort of picking the door out.
He would I would turn the glass and be like, just put it out. There's daylight, so we're making that.
Okay, I use prestidigitation and snuff it out and put it what's left of it back in my bag.
Or he sort of waves his hand over the torch, and it just woof, the flame disappears under his palm.
And then I'm gonna stealth up to the door.
Sure.
Let me see. A 7. And then I'm gonna
you
listen.
trip on a loose. You trip on a loose stair, heading. Ah, shit.
Motherfucker. All right. And then he would roll perception when he. Actually, probably after he like trips a little bit, he would like roll perception to see if anyone like makes a noise of surprise.
Okay.
Sure. A 16.
You don't hear anything untoward, so it sounds like there's nobody on the other side of the door. At least not close.
Okay. And then I will perceive the door for traps.
Sure. We'll go ahead and use that same perception roll. That's fine.
Oh, okay.
Or even that's even better. No problem. Yeah, the door does not appear to be trapped. It has a lock on it, but it does not seem to be locked.
I open it.
It opens
Slowly and peeking out and going like.
Yep.
And
So the door opens outward, and you are in a small, essentially like a sally port underneath, just at the foot of one of the watchtowers on the walls of Zobek, on the sort of west corner. I had the map turned.
Okay. And the trail keeps going?
The trail keeps going, yeah. You lose it a little bit, but thankfully there's mud and grass and all sorts of other things that pick up the trail, and Puff Puff still apparently has the scent. The trail heads out of the Sallyport and then turns north toward the river.
I'm getting my bearings. So this is like in the distance. Can we see Castle Shadow Crag like looming over us?
Far distance, yes, you can.
The Strauss family, Shadow Crag, it's right there and here, and we're on this side in the notebook, and now this. Assuming that everyone is basically, Glass is assuming everyone is following his logic, even though he's just saying words.
So
But you see the notebook and Strauss and the Shadow Crag, and we're on the north side, and
yeah, do you think they took her to lure us out here? But I don't even know who she is.
Some kind of dwarven armor smith. She didn't seem very important to me, but then again, perhaps so. It was my suit of armor after all.
Well, yes, of course, you're very important. But the dragon scale, that starts to make sense. Shadow Crag and the dragon scale. I don't know why the dwarf is involved. I do not know. But
maybe she is.
A highly magical item we are talking about here. Or
Maybe
interesting item, certainly.
Hold on, well, let's continue until we can't go anymore. Or we find her.
All right, so you guys follow the trail to the north, and it looks like it hugs the base of the wall, so it would be very difficult for any soldiers or sentries on top of the wall to see anyone skulking around down here. And it leads you up to the one of the rivers that kind of bisects the city. And not too far from here, the trail leads you right up to it. It looks like there's a small, kind of rickety sort of impromptu bridge, so to speak, that looks to be made of floating crates and big sealed barrels that are floating across the river, and it looks like they're strung together with chains. Cloak and Kane, you guys have been banging around Zobek long enough to know that the kobolds often have these little smugglers' bridges stretched across the rivers that people can use to avoid paying taxes, often by kicking a few coins to the kobold gang that runs whichever one.
Oh,
so it looks like your trail leads to one of these smugglers' bridges across the river.
Keep going across. Is there a watch on the bridge? Or is someone watching?
No. It looks like the purpose of this one is it's stretched across where there are no watch or guards for people to be able to get across. Now, it's broad daylight at this point, So if someone, say, crossed while it was still dark, it would be much more difficult to see them. I mean, that said, smuggler, yep. There are actual bridges that you could use, and since you're not carrying, trade goods, you wouldn't have to worry about tax or anything like that. But
Glad
the trail leads here.
It looks like you've got pretty good balance. You could do a bridge like that, couldn't you?
Yes, well, I actually really do. It's quite amazing. When I was a young child, these crazy sounds and these surges of ley magic, wild surges of ley magic, in fact, have made it so that I can't be knocked prone or off, cannot be knocked off balance by any physical force.
Okay.
It is quite difficult to knock me over. Now, I'm sure there's other things that can knock me down, but yes, I seem to have an affinity for the ground. Low center of balance,
Sure.
Mine is if I get hit by a wooden club in the next 2 rounds, I die.
Wow.
That's all kobolds are armed with.
It's 2 rounds, so that's like 12 seconds, right? Or is it?
Yeah. Well, that would be more important. Yeah. 2 rounds is 12 seconds. That would be more important in combat.
It's already over. It's already over.
Oh, and 4 crit successes to Dan the Beastmaster Dylan
Oh, dear.
Grant.
Is that bad boy Grant?
Yeah, he seems like
was that from?
A veritable.
Was that Grant?
That was Grant. Yeah.
Thank you, Grant. I will put those to delightful use.
Have you tried?
I hear there might be. I hear there might be a bear up around here somewhere.
We also do have that viewer decision of the gods still to decide upon. This could be a good opportunity.
Right. So that's up to you. You guys.
The gods view you.
What is your plan? Are you gonna head across the Smuggler's Bridge, or just keep following the trail across that chain of floating crates?
The Smuggler's Bridge is a bad idea because we could be seen crossing it, and they'll think we're smugglers. Is that how I'm taking it?
I also don't want to walk across floating boxes, so the bridge...
There is that, isn't there? That's worth bringing up. I feel.
I would prefer to take the bridge across, Kari says, looking at the water, kind of uneasy with it.
Oh, the actual bridge, not these smugglers' bridges. They are kind of. I've heard about these that they let them go adrift when they are discovered, and it is not a good thing.
So let's take an actual bridge if it's not too far out the way, and then we're gonna have to double time though.
Right. So the problem is there's sort of a city wall between you and the actual bridges. You could probably swing out away from the city towards one of the roads to find one of the bridges, not in the city itself, but they're a little farther away for this.
You guys will be fine. It'll be fine. There's no one around. Come on, let's use the bridge. Says the guy who can't be knocked off balance.
All right, fine. I'm in.
I mean, I'm not going to complain.
All right. So across the bridge we go then. The Smuggler's Bridge.
How strong is the river? Like, is it like it's not like a rapid? I imagine, but
no. No, it's not a swift raging river or anything like that. No.
Yeah, and these are the rivers that go through Zobek, right? These are
this is the one that bisects it. This one bisects it east to west.
Yeah.
So Glaz going across the Smuggler's Bridge then?
Yep, Glaz will go across first.
He grabs a hold of the chain and just sort of hops crate to crate using the chain as a handhold and just sort of basically walks across the river a good 100 feet or so. On the other side, no problem.
If you need help, I can try to assist if you would like.
I gotta think that my dog, Puff Puff. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to swim with Puff Puff across.
Okay.
Because it's not a strong river. It's pretty weak, so I would just swim with her across and be like.
It's got a current, but you can kind of hang on to those the floating bits of the Smuggler's Bridge, and you can swim across basically no problem. Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So Puff Puff and Cloak hop into the river and start swimming across. about our Dompiers and Shadowfae?
It's a bridge, guys. Come on, guys.
Okay.
It'll be fine.
It is my worst
All
enemy.
right, I
come
go.
along. I'll
I
go
go.
next.
All
Really
right, so Kari and Ryoden are going to hop across and kind of pick their way across on the Smuggler's Bridge. All right,
Yes.
so it's slower going for the two of you. Ryoden, it is particularly uncomfortable for you because you're having trouble getting your full range of motion wearing this janked up armor. But you guys can basically take your time if you don't want to try and rush and make it across, you hope, without it.
Yes, getting wet is not Kari's forte.
Fair enough. Kane, following along with them.
Lol.
All right, so I think Kane follows along after you, and it's a little slow going, particularly for Ryoden, but you guys can take your time and very carefully sort of make your way across, and maybe only splash down into the river once or twice up to a knee or so. And so you make it to the other side.
That was surprisingly not too painful.
So as far as a viewer decision floating around to be made, I would like to ask the chat which character's past should come back to haunt them.
Oh Lord.
I love you, Cat. I love you so much. So much. I love you the most.
Don't even worry about the line. I'll just make a straw poll and put everyone's names into it except for mine. It seems like it's not necessary to put mine in there.
What is a straw poll?
It's wait. Are you familiar with polls?
Have you not draw straws? See, it is a wonderful thing.
What?
I'm gonna put your name up first, Carrie. No reason.
I feel as though you might be going mad. Perhaps the
Darling,
shadow has affected you.
I've been quite mad this whole time.
I love how everyone in the party is going to vote for anyone but themselves.
Keeps it interesting. Right. Where now, Glaz? Seem to be leading this expedition.
I'm following the dog.
Yeah, you guys pick up the trail. Yeah, pick up the trail once again, no problem, and it begins leading you fairly steadily north. You will once again have to cross another river. However, I think you can actually re-enter the city at the western gate, and you could take the actual bridges, but then you would maybe lose the trail and have to try and pick it up on the other side. So if you want to just try and follow it straight and see where they crossed the river, or if they went somewhere else.
I would follow it straight if I was able to keep following it.
Okay.
I agree.
Are we following the blood trail or just the dog?
So there is no actual blood trail. There was kind of a blood smear where someone perhaps got knocked to the ground, knocked to the floor in the smithy and bled there, and then kind of dragged. But it wasn't enough to there wasn't someone wounded badly enough that they were just pouring blood that you could follow through the city. So it was basically just enough sign of a struggle. So it also didn't look like enough blood to account for someone having been killed there.
Interesting.
So we're following the scent.
Yeah, I'm worried that someone...
yes.
Like I say, there was no body there.
That's what makes me worried is the trail is in one clear direction. I'm wondering if they're like trying to... They must know that they're being pursued? This seems a little too easy.
You're following a combination... Yeah, you're following a combination of scent trail and then occasional actual physical trail that you can find in soft earth or kind of crushed down grass, that sort of thing. Let's see. I don't think... What are our rangers? What are your natural explorer favored terrains again? Are you both forest?
Forest. I'm forest. Yeah.
Okay. So does not apply currently.
Okay.
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
As we are now outside of the walls, am I hearing Am I hearing this? Am I hearing either through the scale or naturally anything more from the ley lines?
So you, as long as that scale is nearby, you very occasionally pick up just that little faint hint of it, right?
Sort of this nice little ping.
Yeah. As far as a louder or more solid sort of read on your hearing, your sense, you haven't picked up anything just yet. Let me check one thing real quick here.
No worries.
What was the distance on your sense again? Is it a mile?
It's a mile.
A mile. All right.
It's a mile to sense it, but I have to do a short rest to bind.
Sure. So as you guys head north, you do begin to hear something in the distance. It is not the same note that you heard sort of issuing from the scale, but you are definitely picking up that you do hear the song of a ley line somewhere north of you, growing a little bit louder as you approach, as you head that way.
Cool.
This one sounds like sort of a very deep and sonorous wind note, like perhaps a almost like a tuba, but not quite. Yeah, like a bassoon. Okay. Bassoon's a great one. Yep.
I've been learning all my instruments.
Yeah, there you go. So you guys are following the trail, and you will come to yet another one of those damn kobold smugglers' bridges to get you across the next set of rivers that sort of loop around the city.
Curses.
Yes. So I assume you're all going to just sort of take your time, except for Glaz, who just sort of runs across it, either swimming or.
It's just like the swamps back in Malian. It is quite easy.
All right. Wild magic surges.
Welcome to ERP.
What's it? How do I do this?
One for Cloak and one for Carrie. I'm being told /die. Someone's going to die? I'm not sure, Carrie. I've got some kind of oracle sense coming through. Something might strike some of us shortly.
Oh.
She wonders for a moment if he's just screwing with her. And then...
But then...
Do I just do 1d1000 and just hit enter? Or is there a
10,000.
command? Do I have to hit 10,000? Okay. No, that just tells me I'm saying it.
Caster becomes violently ill if he eats near a fire. Hey, guys.
How the fuck do you roll 10,000? How do you roll in this?
In the chat for you.
It's /die. Base 4. Yeah,
Okay. I'm smart. No, I did that wrong, I think. I totally did that wrong.
There.
It's almost there. He's learning. He's evolving. Something fascinating is happening to Cloak right now.
Who is that Cloakamon? Here we go. 4645.
All right.
Okay.
Let's see what happens. The next magic item you're going to handle seems to you to be 100 degrees in temperature.
Ooh.
Sorry, 1,000 degrees in temperature. Seems like incredibly hot, the next magic item that you touch. Also, I'm sensing something named Winfora sending magic to Carrie and adding a toad to the bear attack squad. Very strange.
All right.
Wonder what that could mean.
Got it.
You're one off from a good time.
Party act, quite, yes. That sounds like something that would happen at the fuck house.
Oh, man, really? Caster burns with homicidal rage whenever he's struck by magic. Anything magical sends me into a homicidal rage.
Okay, noted.
Yep, okay.
Whenever you're struck by magic, so not just any magic at all. Yeah.
No, I'm assuming that would be offensively.
Right.
That's cool,
So,
guys.
wait. Even if you're cured?
No, because that'd be like...
No, that's not a struck. So it would have to be something like a spell attack, or probably something that would require you to make a saving throw against damage, that sort of thing.
Oh man.
Interesting. All right. Okay, so you guys continue following this trail. So it looks like whoever did this took great pains not to be seen by the citizenry and perhaps more importantly, the City Watch or any of the other militant inhabitants of Zobek. And so after you cross the second smuggler's bridge, it continues heading north. And this time it is basically looping around this big bow of river where there's kind of a crescent-shaped island on the north side of the city. And it is, looks like the trail begins to angle toward the Margrave Forest. Sort of heading in a northeasterly direction from the city.
The what
We've gone
forest,
very
sorry?
far out, haven't we?
The Margrave. Margrave.
This is gonna be good, you guys.
I was gonna say, what do I know about the Margrave Forest as not being from the Melon?
Yeah.
Well, you know that the Margrave is sort of traditional territory along with Zobek itself, as well as Shadowcrag, that was claimed by the Shadow Fae quite a long time ago. You also know that the Margrave roughly corresponds to the location of the heart of the Shadow Fae in the Shadow Realm. And that unlike most places on Midgard, the two locations, both material and shadow, are quite closely linked, and great changes or upheavals in one can kind of change the nature of the other in a similar way. Yeah. So, for instance, let's say an ancient red dragon were to come through and just burn a huge swath of the Margrave. In the Shadow Realm, a big section of that forest might die, or might be prone to spontaneous forest fires, or creatures that are drawn to fire might congregate there more often, that sort of thing.
Only we can
I have a bad feeling about this.
Nice.
Well, I mean, it's just, we're following a kidnapper, so, I mean...
Well, we don't know that as such. I mean, she may have ran here all on her own. It's unlikely, but possible.
Perhaps, this is the old lands of the Strauss family. Again, I think the connection here is the Strauss. Now, the armor just might have somehow gotten mixed up in something. Maybe she looks like you can't tell by the way you're wearing it, but she looks like she might be quite good. Perhaps someone commissioned something from her? I don't know. But this area here...
Perhaps it has something to do with the dragon scales. You may be onto something there. They may have ferried her away so that they could work on something against her will.
Maybe
All right,
she was working on something big.
Right. So here's the question. The trail is leading you into the Margrave Forest, and sort of roughly toward, it's really hard to say, maybe toward the Black Hills, maybe toward Griffin Tower, that sort of area. Doesn't look like it's headed directly toward Shadowcrag, which may be a relief, depending on how you feel about such things. Exploring an ancient haunted ruin. So are you guys prepared to press into the forest now? Because basically you follow the trail for a good, we'll say an hour or so, and then you're getting into the actual forest itself, which it's sparse at first, but then it turns into this very dense, primeval, dark forest.
I look.
Well, if we stop the trail will go cold, right?
It's certainly the longer you wait, the more it will. The more you will lose.
I look to Cloak and go, so you are from a forest. Do you think we can head in? Are we going? Is it going to be horrible in there, or should we keep on this trail? This is kind of like the places you are from.
I mean, this is more like where Carrie's from.
Either.
Cloak and Kane, I believe you're both forest natural explorers, so you're both plenty at home in this sort of area. So, I mean, you're plenty comfortable just pressing on in there and going. Basically, what I'm saying is, was there anything you guys wanted to grab from Zobek before you strike out into these woods?
I have all of my things.
Nope.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Sounds good. All right.
I still have my library pass that I'm going to use later because we're going to come back to Zelbeck.
Yeah, hell yeah. All right, so
I'm sure we will survive.
So tell me about how you guys press into the forest. Like essentially, like who's in front? What's your disposition? That sort of deal.
I'd be around the outside.
Yeah, Puff and I would be in the front, like following the trail. How's Puff reacting?
Puff looks pretty excited to follow the trail. And when you guys stop at the edge of the forest, she kind of like prances her front paws a little bit and just keeps kind of looking between you guys and the woods.
Okay. Yeah, I mean...
Sorry, you know which meme I'm talking about.
I just thought about that Vine where it's like... yeah, I would keep going. I would keep pushing forward with her then. And being very wary, but also knowing this is my home turf. So,
Glaz is going to either let Riodan go next, or he will go after Cloak. But he is going to go ahead and cast Mage Armor on himself, knowing we're going into someplace.
No problem. Glaz, do you use a spellcasting focus or a component pouch? I can't remember.
I use a focus. It is a geode that he has. It's a stone it's like a sphere on one side, and then with the crystals on the inside. It's like a geode that he found back. Yeah, he found there on the shores of the architectural that language I know.
The Onkashelian ruins.
Onkashelian ruins. There it is. Yep.
No problem. All right, so Cloak and Puff are in front. Then you said Riodan, you're going to let him go next?
Right.
Is that what you said? Is that what you said, Glass?
I'd see if Riodan would want to go next. If he doesn't, then I would go next.
Okay.
With the idea that we'd have Ranger in front and Ranger in back is kind of what I was thinking.
Oh, okay, so we're going to put Kane kind of in rear guard, and then everybody else in the middle, more or less? That works. Yeah. That works for me. All right. So it is, at this point, it's probably an hour past noon as you guys are pushing out into the Margrave Forest. The trail, I would like you to make me another wisdom survival check as you're sort of changing terrain. And again, you can do it with advantage with, there's multiple trackers and a dog sniffing it along. So...
that would be a 20. 17 plus 3.
Perfect. All right, so now you are in your favored terrain, which means you get a little bit more information about the trail that you're following.
Yes. Hold on.
I believe you get to know things like how many creatures there are and how long ago they passed, that kind of thing.
When tracking other creatures, you also learn their exact number, their sizes, and how long ago they passed through the area.
Okay. So, you discern the trail of 10 small creatures, 2 medium creatures. They passed through here a little over a day ago. So probably yesterday morning, maybe even before or just around dawn. So it might have still been dark.
Okay. I'll look at Kane and kind of do some hand gestures that because I want to be quiet in this area. So he would do for the size of the creatures and stuff like that, and he would say for one day, and then and he'll probably understand what I mean by that. But
sure. So with a 20, you can also tell that the small creatures are not wearing boots or other footwear, and they have clawed feet. But they are bipedal and have clawed feet. The medium creatures were both booted. And so you set off into the forest, following this now more clearly discernible trail that sort of shines out of the ground for you. Glaz, You
Yes.
still hear that sort of bassoon sound, but over the few hours that you folks spend as Puff Puff and Cloak pick a trail through the forest for you, it's sort of off to your left, off to the west, and it grows quieter as you go off into the woods.
Okay.
So there is a
it's,
ley line over there, but it sounds like it's sort of toward the north end of Zobek.
Gotcha.
And another excellent benefit by virtue of your natural explorer is you are not slowed by this difficult terrain. So even though the forest is dense and thick and there's great undergrowth and it's really just trackless land that you guys are picking through, Cloak and Kane are able to very easily navigate you through passable areas and avoid natural hazards. So you're making just excellent time pushing through this dense forest. And so after about, we'll say maybe 6 hours of travel, getting toward probably when you're going to want to start thinking about camping, unless you risk pushing into force march and risking exhausting yourselves, you can hear something up ahead. It sounded like an animal, sort of like a growl or a call.
How far away?
We're in a forest.
You're in a forest, yeah. You really couldn't tell. You don't have an exact fix on it. It just sort of came from up ahead and a little bit to your right.
Can I try climbing up a tree and getting better sight?
You will get limited use out of that since the canopy is so thick. That you really won't be able to. You won't get much in the way of distance that you can see.
I also like the idea of being in a tree if there's an animal nearby. I was trying to.
I'm going to stealth as we move forward, and I just look at people and tell them to be quiet.
Kane, as you guys are moving along, your owl sort of takes wing and tends to fly up into the branches and sort of follow along with you that way, but stays relatively close to you as you guys move.
I'll be
I gotta for my stealth. I got a
What I roll? 23. I rolled a 19.
All right. So are you heading? Are you heading up alone?
Well, I told them, I was like, "Hey, I'm being quiet. I'm just stepping quietly. I'm not like hiding visibly from them." So
right, you're trying to move stealthily and not give yourself away. Are you going up to kind of scout alone, or are you wanting everybody to come along with you?
I'm scouting a little bit ahead of everyone. Most definitely. See if I get a visual on anything, and if I do, I'll quietly walk back and be like, kind of make pantomimes of what I see.
Okay. You can pick your way a little bit ahead and just kind of leave everyone else behind. And you, let's see, what did you got? A 23, you said?
23.
Okay, that is plenty good. So you make your way up through the trees and a small thicket. And Puff Puff just sort of pads along beside you and is likewise quite quiet. And you can hear another animal sound from up ahead. This one turns into this growling roar. You continue forward and kind of make your way around, and you can see a large shape kind of lumbering past a dense copse of trees. And you just catch this sort of massive, shaggy outline of a creature loping by on all fours with heavy footfalls.
Is it walking away or towards us?
It's kind of cutting in front of your path right now.
I would... Can I roll nature to see what kind of creature it is?
Sure.
A 14.
14. I mean, it definitely looked like a bear of some kind. You're not exactly sure which species or any of that, but it was a bear for sure.
Okay. So I will slowly make my way back, and but not all the way back to them, just to the point where they can see me, and I just go.
Sure. So Cloak is like waving his hands and silent growling at you.
Yeah. And then he just does this. And then he sits there quietly, and then he's like, you see him like peering off into the woods and watching something.
So you just kind of wait it out?
Yeah.
All right. So after perhaps a minute or so, you hear another sudden series of growls that burst into this just deep guttural roar that echoes through the forest. And then another call that has a growl and a strange, almost like a bird-like call to it. And you can just hear snarling and horrible sounds like these beasts must be fighting or killing something, just kind of filtering back to you through the dense woods.
Okay, but they're far off, right?
200 feet maybe.
That's enough for me to be like. And then
all right, so you're gonna try and lead everybody past, kind of stealthy.
Yeah,
sure.
While they're distracted, continue making our way stealthily.
All right. So you swing a little bit farther to the right, trying to avoid whatever the hell is going on in the next clearing over. So why don't you all make a group stealth check for me?
All right, here we go.
This is at disadvantage.
Fucking kidding
very
me?
Very much at disadvantage there.
Natural
dear.
one.
Yep.
It would have been a 19, but there you go.
This is the point where we should have used our crits.
Oh god, we're all.
I forgot
So
that
we
we
got
had crits.
I'm in the tree.
We
In
got
the
a
tree.
5, a 3, a 1,
In the
12. Okay.
It was
In a
meant
tree,
to be.
All right.
So wait, were you not moving forward with us? Did you not come forward with us, Kari?
No,
You
I
were
am
moving
in
forward.
the tree. Oh, crap.
So you didn't come
Would
with
I have
us?
been able-
You're staying by yourself?
You said the canopy was pretty dense, right? Would I be able to follow them
It's
through the tree boughs?
Pretty dense. Unless they slow down, they will leave you behind because you're not able to move at full speed while you're doing that. And so it looks like the area you're in, you can kind of go tree to tree, but it's not fast going.
I'm going to go tree to tree.
All right. So the rest of you can see that Kari is kind of cat squirreling her way from branch to branch, tree to tree. And if you don't slow down, you're going to leave her behind.
Well, I can tell
I
you why
make a
my stealth
motion.
is low. No, Glaz's stealth is low. Kari, you're being left behind. Come on. We're going now.
Yes.
Clang, clang.
Slower, if you want.
At this point, Kari definitely stays in the trees.
You see Cloak going.
All right. So by this point, the growling and snarling has kind of
Cloak is
died
very
down. Has died down a fair bit. However, you can hear the sound of snapping twigs and rustling brush, as well as like a delightful babbling brook off to one side a little bit. But it seems that there is a shape sort of barreling through the woods towards you now, and you can hear a preceding it. So why don't we all roll initiative?
I was gonna say as soon as Cloak heard the growling stop, he would have stopped and already pulled out his sword.
All right,
Jesus.
that's fine.
2 natural ones in a row for me.
My initiative is 2.
So 16 for me.
Right, one quick second here.
Bears, 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 bears.
Well, the good news is you guys avoided the owlbear.
Whew, that is good news.
Yeah.
That is
26
greatness.
Here's the thing. 26 years of playing D&D, right?
Uh-huh.
I've never fought an owlbear.
Oh, well, we
Really?
could've,
I haven't
you were
either.
you were too sneaky.
It was bad, man.
I've never fought a dragon in Dungeons and Dragons.
Really?
Neither have I.
How?
Yeah.
Well,
I have
then.
never. No, I have talked to. I have encountered, but full on actual proper combat with a dragon. That's not an invitation, chat.
That's
No.
Why did you say that out loud?
Sad.
Chat, I got this one. Don't worry about it.
Oh, that's not what I want to hear either. Chat. Never mind. Let's
Sure.
go
All
to
right.
dragon,
So,
please.
do we have anybody in initiative time? Do we have anybody 25 to 20? 20 to 15?
16.
16 for cloak. 15 to 10.
11 for
Oh,
glass.
11 glass. All right. 10 to 5.
Here is my shame.
That's me at 7. Yeah.
Oh boy. And Rioden, where are we at, buddy?
That's a natural one, so a 3 for me.
A 3 for our
Yes,
loud
indeed.
clanky friend. All right. So, Cloak, you're going to be first, as you can see a massive brown bear barreling through the trees and brush towards you. It looks like it has a wound on its shoulder, just kind of a raw, bloody tear in its hide and flesh, and it's just sort of crazed in its eyes and has some blood-flecked foam around its muzzle and is just barreling forward.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
Okay,
Because
there we go.
Oh, there we
That's
go.
an
Okay.
11 initiative for you, Josh.
Yep, and he's got more decks than me.
Sure. All right, so let me. All right, go ahead. Go ahead, Luke.
I'm gonna do something crazy. How far away is the bear?
The bear is probably at this point bursting through the trees about 40 feet away from you. Oh, there it is.
Okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do something asinine. I'm going to I'm going to start running up to the bear and be like, no, it's okay, friend, it's okay. And I'm going to cast Animal Friendship on the bear.
Ooh, nice.
Oh,
What is
yes.
what your save DC?
My save DC, that's a great question, Dan.
Do it.
My save DC is 11.
11.
Oh,
So,
no.
I shall make, I believe, a wisdom saving throw.
Yeah.
Woodook. Oh, that isn't going to work. All right, so you see Cloak sort of run forward probably 10 or 20 feet and throw up his hands, and he, like, whispers something under his breath and says, no, wait, we're friends. And then the bear just kind of throws on the brakes, and, like, all fours just sort of skids to a halt and stops, and its giant nose, you can see its nostrils flare and sort of tilts its head and blinks its eyes looking at him. But that's not quite its turn yet, so I need to make...
So now Bear's just a bro?
More or less. All right, so a 12. So, all right, Kane, you have the warning as you're kind of watching this happen. You're making sure to keep your senses alert to the other sounds and goings on in your vicinity, and it is actually your owl suddenly lets out a cry that draws your attention over toward the sound of water on your right. And you can see that brook that you heard running through the hollow there has gathered into a pond, and you see a ripple sort of swell under the water. And that's just enough for you to be warned of the massive toad bursting its head up out of the water. and it attempts to bite you. But you saw it, so it is not hidden. It does not get advantage against you. So that is a 13. I don't believe that's going to hit you, right? All right, so you managed to skip back as these massive jaws. This toad is easily maybe a little bigger than a horse, and its jaws just sort of snap right in front of you, and you kind of skip back out of the way. So that's your turn, Kane. So that toad is right up on you. You will have disadvantage on your shot because you're currently engaged in melee with it. So you could also draw a melee weapon and attack. Okay, rapier. Very well. Make your strike. Oh, that'll hit. All right, so as its jaws kind of catch only empty air as your cloak swirls out of the way, you, with one smooth motion, whip your rapier out of its sheath and drive the blade into its softer underbelly. Second attack is... Yeah, I'm not sure what that means, man.
Die.
So go ahead and give me rapier damage.
That is...
You got it? I don't see anything happening. All right.
Yeah, the rapier damage? Isn't that the 8+4?
I don't. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Oh,
that
yeah.
looked like another. That looked like another D20 roll. I'm sorry. I'm very confused by that. Got it. That's my bad. All right. The toad lets out this just guttural, and this cold blood spatters out over your hand. So that's going to be Glaz. Your turn.
How far away am I from the toad?
The toad? Let's see. You were in the middle, and it kind of came up behind you, so you're maybe 25 feet away from it.
Okay, so Glaz is going to back off so that back up his 30 feet of movement.
Sure.
Try not to get too close to the bear because he's not sure how the bear thinks. So he's sort of triangulating himself to get as far away from the bear and the toad as possible, and is going to sort of look at the toad and go sort of look at its sort of through it almost towards the way that the blood flows through it and the way that its nervous system goes. It's very interesting. It is almost just like a ley line, and sort of hooks it with his fingers and casts Chill Touch.
All right. Make your spell attack.
That's only an 8.
An 8, unfortunately. So the rest of you see this spectral, ghostly, almost like a withered version of Glaz's hand kind of coalesce from this glow in the ground and reach up and try to grab the toad, but it sort of scampers out of the way and vanishes, and the hand vanishes. Phew. All right. The bear comes up and sniffs at you, Cloak, and kind of like head bumps you a little bit.
He's like starts petting it, and he's like,
you don't have any means to speak to it, I don't believe, do you?
No, I do not.
It's
that spell
so
is in my repertoire, but I didn't pick it.
Sure, yeah. So it treats you as an ally, and so I think it will probably perceive that giant toad trying to eat things near you as a threat. So it sort of stands up on its hind legs, lets out a humongous bellow, and goes charging toward the toad. It will have to take a dash. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Am I able to take a free action to talk, make a statement to everyone?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I was like, don't attack him, he's our friend now.
All right, so the rest of you hear that.
I want to do.
see this bear kind of tear at the earth with its claws and just launches itself at that giant toad. It has to dash this turn, but it gets right up next to it, and you can see it stand up on its hind legs and pull back its claws for a massive strike. That's going to be Kari's turn.
I'm looking over towards the toad. Can I get advantage point on it from up in the tree and fire my short bow at it?
Yeah, you can see it. Yep,
Okay,
you can shoot at it.
Okay, I had it up and now it is short bow. There we go. Yeah. Woo! It's a 21.
Nice. Oh, 21 absolutely
That
hits.
is okay. 1d6 plus 1 piercing. Yes, 7 damage. Beastly
right.
shot from Kari in the tree.
Yep. So the arrow catches it right behind the broad head, and it kind of thunks into its hide, and it sort of like shudders and shakes its head in pain. That would be Riodan. Bring it up. He's our anchor man this turn.
Yes, quite. How far away from this toad creature am I right now?
20, 25 feet. You
Right.
were kind of in the middle next to Glaz, so it
Alright,
came up at your rear guard.
I'm going to bless.
Excellent.
Cast bless on Glaz.
So, unfortunately, as you begin to go through the motions to gather your divine energy to call down the blessing of Marena, you can't focus it because you can't go through the motions for the somatics properly, and it keeps pinching you when you try to gather your magics.
Rubbish.
Yeah, it's you are unable to cast spells while wearing this armor in this fashion.
That's right. Let's see.
So you don't waste your action doing that. You can take your action doing something else.
Instead, I'll run up to the great beast and stab at it with my rapier. Which should
Very
be-
well.
Let's do math. Plus 4 to hit this thing. There we go. That'll be a 13 to hit.
That is a hit.
Oh, goodness. That's good news. And then add 2 to this number. And that makes that number 4 points of piercing damage.
4 piercing damage. All right. So at this point, the toad is now beginning to bleed from the multiple wounds that you've all driven into it, and it looks like it's starting to get just a slight sway to its stance. So it is now bloodied. So that's going to bring us back to the top of the order with Cloak.
How far away am I from the toad?
You're probably more on the order of like 50 feet away from it.
Oh, it's gonna take me like 2 turns unless I dash. I'm gonna take a turn and move 25 feet, and then kind of just. Can I roll perception to make sure nothing else is like aware of this battle occurring?
Sure. Yeah, you can take the search action just to take a look around and make sure everything's okay. So go ahead. Make your search.
Yeah. All right.
Your wisdom perception check.
That would be a 11.
11. So it doesn't look like anything else is lurking around to come at you, and the sounds of kind of like battle that animal battle that you heard, they have died down. You hear something off in that distance, but it sounds like it might be going the other way.
Okay. I would just take note of that, and then just kind of analyze the battlefield as my bear is going to attack the frog.
Yep. So
What is
bear
Puff doing?
Puff Puff, right. I should have Puff Puff go on your turn. Let's see. Puff Puff. We'll have her go now. How about that? So Puff Puff runs, looks around, sees Kane and the others in danger from this toad, lets out this baying howl, runs forward, and you can see that, she's fast, but she's still a good ways away. However, as she nears maybe 10 or 15 feet away from the toad, there's a shimmer in the air, this golden and silver faint sparkle of motes, and Puff Puff vanishes. She appears on the other side of the toad, kind of like ankle deep in the water, and bites at its hindquarters.
Coolest dog ever.
You know what? I'm going to burn one of my 20s and crit it, because that'll be awesome.
Oh yeah, Will.
Oh.
So Puff Puff
spicy.
gets a hold of the toad's hamstring and just tears the muscle in some parts down to the bone. So all right, yeah, she rips a giant chunk out of its leg, and it's bleeding profusely into the water, and it looks like it's trying to turn and hop away, but is having a difficult time of it with this golden dog hanging onto its torn musculature. So that would be Cloak. You just went. That's going to be the toad. So the toad is going to bite Puff Puff. Yeah, I think the toad is going to bite Puff Puff.
Puff Puff, no.
Oh, and it snaps its jaws around her. So she is clamped in the toad's jaws. She is grappled and restrained. And she yelps in pain. Oop, but she takes, it's not a great deal of damage. The frog's teeth don't seem to manage to get purchase in her flesh, but she does cry out in pain. No. So, that is going to be Kane. Your turn.
Silent murder.
Yeah, you there?
I assume this is the silence before the death stroke. You hear the faint sing of his rapier before he drives it forward into the beasts.
You can't get it to roll.
Can't get it to roll. All right, well, roll a physical die if you got it. It's just, or I'll roll for you if you prefer. You want me to do it? All right, so here comes Kane's attack roll, which didn't go in the box, but I rolled a 12. So with your attack bonus, that will hit. And so your D8 plus 4, I believe, is 8. And so you are able to drive up under the toad's jaw and run the blade up into its soft palate and through its tiny amphibian brain. You wrench the blade free, and it just sort of begins to twitch and spasm and collapses into the muck. And Puff Puff sort of wriggles her way free from the great creature's jaws. The bear at this point just kind of crashes down on the dead toad's carcass and just tears into it with its jaws, and you can hear bones snap.
Is the bear fucking it up?
Oh yeah. Like he's tearing into it and ripping pieces out of it. And then when it's clear that the toad is no longer alive, it kind of settles back and looks over toward Cloak, and there's just like frog blood dripping in these big, thick, drooly ropes from its muzzle, and it kind of goes, and then goes in and just rips a big chunk of flesh out and starts eating.
Yay! Enjoy.
All right, so there you have it. You have vanquished all threats for the moment, thanks to savagery and magic.
Well, that was quite interesting. At least you are very good with animals, my friend Cloak. First a bear, first a dog, and now a bear.
I felt that it was kind of weird. So I felt the bear's energy, and so I mimicked my energy with the bear's, and then I was just like, I'm your friend, and became very docile and not agitated like his was. And I brought it down to my level with me, and then he stopped and he started sniffing me, and he's like, oh, hey there, and I was like, hey, what's up? We're not actually talking. I'm just making that up, so you don't, whatever. So, and then, and now he's eating a frog.
Well, I hear froglings are very tasty, so that would be a nice thing, right? Yes, I was trying to use this new thing I've got with the ley lines, but it's just I'm not quite there yet. But maybe next time, maybe I will get it. Did you see the hand that came up and then it just kind of missed? But I'm getting better. I'm practicing. That is what you must do. You practice it. That is how you do it.
We should find dummies back in town that you can just start launching at, and maybe that will help.
Maybe, but maybe should we see what's up with this frog? Perhaps it has some things that we could use. I don't know, or it's getting a little late in the evening. Should we camp here in this nice where we have a nice stream, a babbling brook? It is very peaceful and tranquil. I kind of like it.
So as the aftermath of the battle sort of dies down and the adrenaline subsides, Glaz, you can hear very clearly these high-pitched, beautiful, sort of almost flute-like notes, sort of reaching to you from the north-ish of your position. So,
just knowing my basic studies of geomancy, I know that sometimes ley lines run along rivers and stuff. So, is that the direction of this stream?
Sometimes. It looks like not particularly. You're still a little ways away. You've gotten within your mile of it at this point.
Okay, I've gotten within a mile. No, it's not like 30 feet away. It's like it's within a mile.
No, you have basically just now honed in on this sound. It's just reached your radius of sense, and I will say that it sounds like the source of the almost echo that you heard coming from that scale.
Ooh. Hey, this is very interesting. Now that we've come here and not in the middle of fighting a giant frog, the sound from the scale I give you. Can I have that back for just a moment, please? I look at Cloak. I won't lose it. I'm not all caffeinated now. But you'll see, with this, it's like an echo. It's kind of like when you go into the thing and you go echo, 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 echo. So like that, this kind of does that. But what the first original sound that's echoing through here, it's over there. I can hear it.
Right, so are you saying a dragon's over there?
I'm saying the ley magic is over there. The dragon is, if he's sitting on top of it and sits there long enough, then perhaps that is what happened with this scale. But certainly the ley magic is over there, and ley lines are very long, so it's not like the dragon is right there. Well, he could be right there, but I hope it's not right there. Maybe you can go. You're a good scout. Do you want to go take a look? He smiles big at Cloak.
Well, we can look on the way back. How about that? We can go that way and then go around this forest, right? Go around Zobek, and then we'll hit that, and then we'll just make our way from the city from the ley line.
Actually, that's a good question, Dan. Is it in the same direction of the trail we were following, or a different direction?
So you kind of confer with Cloak, and it sounds like the trail is leading you right towards it.
Oh, we don't have to go around. It's right this way. He smiles big.
Oh, good. We have to be very careful, okay? If there's a fucking dragon over there, especially a fire dragon. I mean, have you seen this
Flame is different than fire.
Okay, semantics, all right? This face will still burn regardless.
Oh no, it'll burn you up quite nicely. They roast you up like a turkey on the turkey thanky day thing. They celebrate it up north. I don't know the name.
Sounds awful.
Yeah, no, they kill a bird to the nature god.
Yes, Turducken Day. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, Turducken Day. They stuff another bird into another bird. It's kind of a fucked up holiday, but whatever.
All right, so you have still perhaps an hour or two of travel left, and so it's up to you to how you want to proceed from here.
I didn't take any damage that fight, so you're welcome, everyone.
I don't think anyone did.
Now we have a bear on our side.
For how long until the bear begin? Yeah, how long does that travel last?
24 hours.
Okay.
24 hours.
Okay.
Yep,
I will not set up my bear trap when we make camp then, because that would be awkward.
Yeah.
Total.
I was going to as well. I was going to, but now not so much.
Okay, so Cloak could be like, oh, so let's move the let's go 2 more hours, and then let's see where we go from there.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how far away. How strong is this feeling for you guys? Like, do you feel it's really close, or
We're about
is it
a
far
mile.
off?
Oh, we're within a mile. I can't feel things much further than that. So I would know that, right?
Okay.
I'm not being meta.
Oh.
No.
No. You know, you guys know how your own abilities work.
Okay.
No,
I mean, we can make a mile in like
oh yeah.
30
Like
minutes.
just 20 minutes or so. You can make a mile.
Yeah. 30 minutes at an easy pace, 20 minutes at a normal pace. Let's do it.
Maybe at a stealthy pace as well. Yes.
You
We
guys
have a
could
bear
go.
with us.
Well, actually, I kind of look. Yeah, I looked. Glaz looks at Riordan. Well, I don't think it's going to matter how slow we go with your armor like that,
True.
my friend.
True enough.
No, it
I must
doesn't.
find it. She really ought to do her alterations. It's just sloppy craftsmanship otherwise, isn't it, really?
I wanna
Looks
I
bad
wanna
on
call
her.
you Tink
She
Tink
may
from
have
now on
been
because that's all you
kidnapped.
make.
She may well have been, but is that an excuse?
Yes.
All right.
Let's go.
So the plan is
Well-
to travel at least to find the source of the ley line that Glaz is sensing, right? And possibly up to
Yes.
the 2 hours or so you have left in the day. All right. So you guys are you traveling?
I'm a stealth. So
Okay.
stealth.
Are you traveling at a stealthy pace or normal?
I'm going normal. I have a bear.
I'm thinking let's normal until we get close, and then stealth. I mean, let's stealth once we get close.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Okay. All right. So you guys move at a normal pace. After another 20 or 25 minutes or so, the sound is steadily getting just ever so slightly louder, Glaz, and you guys see the terrain in the forest has become a little bit more rocky, and you can definitely feel an elevation kicking up. So you're getting onto like a hill. You see a great stone archway carved into the hillside, and it is mostly overgrown with like creeping ivy vines and undergrowth that doesn't require a whole lot of direct sunlight, and is sort of shaded overhead by this dense oak canopy. And you can hear that sound, that music, Glaz, almost echoing out of the tunnel.
Well, this is the place. This is the place for sure. Right into that tunnel is where it's coming from.
Is Puff reacting that way with what Glass is saying?
Puff. I mean, she's like, you guys are following the trail, and the trail is leading up the hillside toward that arch. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, it's less of an arch, and it's more like a post and lintel. But yeah, it's there's definite stone masonry craftsmanship building out almost a door frame into this gaping tunnel in the hillside. It's maybe 20 feet wide.
Okay.
That is,
Well,
that is the spot. Maybe now we should quietly. Maybe I am not the quietest one either. Perhaps do you want to go and see if you can take a quick look and see what is in there? I don't know whether it's right there or whether it's going to be a long tunnel inside. But knowing is half the battle.
yeah. I'll stealth up. I'll sneak up in there and see what I see. And I imagine as I stealth up, the other animals are stealthing up with me because I've turned into fucking.
If you want to like kind of tell the bear to stay, you can sort of get that message across. That's simple enough.
Okay, yeah, I would tell the bear to stay, but Puff
Or
can come with me.
Puff seems to just understand whatever the hell you say to her. So
Okay.
so all right, you're gonna take Puff with you.
Yeah, Puff, and then
Okay.
the bear who I've now named Fluff and Stuff.
Fuzzy.
Fluff and
Oh,
Stuff
Fluff
and
and Stuff.
Puff. Okay, Fluff and Stuff, you stay
Excellent.
here. All
That
right.
won't be confusing at all.
And then you
if you see something, you just charge in there. I know you probably don't understand what I'm saying, but you'll know when. You'll have the feeling, and my energy will rise up, and your energy will rise up. You get it. Okay, let's go.
I got a 22.
Very nice. Puff Puff rolled a nat 20, so she has a 25.
Oh God. I'm like,
okay. All right, so these two, basically, the rest of you guys, they just sort of vanish into the underbrush. Gone. The two of you kind of begin crawling up through the brambles, and as you approach this tunnel, you begin to hear faint snatches of whispered conversation. What languages do you speak?
Well, that's great. I speak, let's take a look here. Gnomish, Infernal, Common,
Infernal. Nice.
Sylvan, and Umbral.
Okay, so you do not recognize the language being spoken, and you can just hear a faint and then there's just kind of quiet.
I'm gonna remember how they sounded and like try to
Okay.
And then see if I can repeat like a phrase to that to someone maybe back at the other crew. But do I see who's saying this?
Why don't you make me a wisdom perception check?
I will do that, Dan. I will. I don't know how well it's gonna go.
It went pretty darn
22.
well.
That almost was a 1. That was so close. Did you see that?
It was just like, hey, we're gonna do it. Okay. All right. So you think that you might be able to see the speakers if you crawl around to your left and get a slightly better vantage point. So you start. You basically you're low crawling, like commando crawling through the brushes, and making your way quietly and avoiding the dry leaf detritus that crackles will give you away. And you see a group of kind of black cloth shrouded small forms huddled behind some rocks where they have a decent line of sight down to the entrance of that tunnel. And as they look over, you can see black scales that are flecked with red and orange, kind of intense. The color is very intense around their eyes, and then fades toward the back of their head and down their backs. And then you can see it peeking out like in little speckles on their clawed hands. You see these little draconic humanoid creatures kind of just sort of watching, and they'll occasionally whisper to one another. You see 6 of them.
Do they have the same color scales like the scale that we have?
You would say reminiscent, but not the same. And their scales are much smaller.
Okay.
What did I just roll? A 17. What was your perception again? 20 some odd?
22.
22. All right. So you also notice there are more figures. You catch just the faintest hint of movement up in the trees. You look up and you see more kobolds up there. 2 of them, except these have bat-like wings sprouting from their shoulders that they have folded back against them, and they're sort of crawling around the trees and looking.
They're humanoid size?
They're small.
They're small. Okay.
They're small humanoids.
Sorry.
Small humanoids. They're humanoid creature type.
Have I seen anything like this before?
I mean, you've seen kobolds before.
Okay, I just want to know if I know that I know what kobolds are, but I just want to know if Kari knows. I'm not really sure how often
Kari totally.
come across them in.
They are all damn over the place in Zobek. They tend to stay towards the kobold ghetto during the day. If they have to go out in the rest of the city during the day, they will, but they hate it. At night, you'll see them pretty much anywhere. So yeah, you're well familiar with kobolds.
I do not speak their language.
But yeah, you can disengage from them, Cloak, and make your way back to your companions, if you like.
Yeah. So I don't see anything beyond that. All right. Yeah, I would start sneaking up and like go back and then like kind of appear out of the brush with Puff Puff. And I look at everyone and I say,
So there's like 6 kobolds on the ground, all right? All black scaled with red specks, kind of cool colored. But the cool thing is that there's like 2 of them with wings in the trees, and they're walking around. Does anyone know Draconic?
Don't think so.
I do not speak that language.
No, I do not at all.
Don't really like them.
Well, this is what we could do. We could kill all of them but one and then figure out what's going on. I know they probably speak common because they live in Zobek.
Have your bear eat them.
One by one, and then see who. I mean, we can charge. I can charge in there with my bear, and then like ride him, and then as soon as he pounces on someone, then I go pounce on someone, and then Puff Puff will come up and be like, "Oh," and I'll be like, "Oh, Puff Puff." And
he looks down at him as soon as he says he's gonna pounce on someone. Like, really?
They're my height. Okay, fuck off.
I
forgot how mouthy he is, little bastard.
Is Glaz within 30 feet of a ley line?
Glaz is not yet within 30 feet of a ley line.
I mean, but are we talking like we're in combat distance of getting to 30 feet within a ley line, or is it still like hundreds and hundreds of feet away?
I mean, how close do you guys... So you can hear basically the song of the ley line issuing from the tunnel. How close are you guys wanting to get to the tunnel? You guys are maybe about 100 feet away from it at this point, where you saw it and then kind of backed off and did a little recon, and you found the sentries watching the entrance.
Yeah. All right. At this point, I was like,
we can take out the ground. Who can take out the aerial one? So,
Not in my current
I can
state.
try. And Kane has got his bow. He's good with that bow.
I am also quite good with my bow.
I mean, that's okay. So,
well, if they're close together, I can take out multiple people at once if we can get them in a group, like a choke point, maybe in the doorway. I've got a spell that is just the bee's knees for that.
Well, we're in the forest and we're charging in there, and they have wings, so they're gonna fly around. So, hang on to that one.
If it is necessary, I can call upon my god and shoot them magically.
I mean,
you're good at making us not be hurt as well.
That is what I would prefer to use the magic of my god for. To keep you all alive, I say slowly, turning my eyes down to Cloak and back to Glass.
Oh, damn.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to see it one day.
Now, I know that we're underneath some trees, but the shade here is just... Whew. Well done, all of you. I'm very proud of you for that, Cloak. That was very good.
The shade?
Quite.
What?
I'll explain to you later. Let's go.
It probably went over his head.
I'll explain. Oh, damn.
Oh, goodness. Oh, Cloak, that's more savage than the dagger that shadow put to me. I'm being slain over here. Carrie, I never knew such wit from you, darling. Well, let's go and murder some tiny little dragon people together and talk about it afterwards.
Yeah, do you like hunting? I mean, they're weak and, you can probably eat them and stuff like that. There's many of them.
I'm going to notch my bow.
All right, so what's the plan?
Gonna swirl it almost as if I'm going to raise it towards him. And then
If you can give us cover in the sky...
Just imagine the flying ones are flying enemies, and you really want to kill me.
I do not wish to kill you.
If you can take care of
fun.
If you can take care of the ones in the sky, we will run forward and take care of the ones in the cave.
I will do my best. Perhaps the owl could be of some assistance to me.
And I'm sure the bear is going to maybe draw some fire as well if he goes charging right down the center here.
Oh,
He was kind of scared.
yeah.
I would just want to fight a bear.
I've got a lot of armor, so I can take a few hits.
You can
Alright,
fight
so
the
what-
bear then.
No. Fluff and
Goodness,
Stuff
no.
is our friend.
Fluff and
Send
stuff.
in the bear.
Fluff
Figure
and
it out
stuff.
afterwards.
Just look at Fluff and Stuff, and I'm like, do it, Fluff and Stuff, and then he's like, does a little dance when he's sitting there waiting for us to make our plan. Fluff and
I don't know
the
how
bear-
you can have such a vile mouth, but yet come up with such dainty names for your pets.
So the bear sort of leans forward and then licks the entire side of his face and head with its just massive tongue.
That is adorable.
He loves me. He doesn't want to eat me. Not yet.
Not
It
yet.
smacks its lips.
We got about like 20
All right. So we have, looks like we're coming up on 11. So this might be a good place to pick up next week. If that works for everyone, and rather than running over terribly late tonight, I think starting with stealth and initiative rolls next week is just
That would be
what we
great.
ought to do.
That's great.
So there we
That'd be
are.
great.
So
Very nice.
I wasn't sure quite how you guys were going to try and track down the assaulters and the assailants and abductors of Mistress Everforge, but this worked. So yeah.
Magical dog.
You know, I was ready for a number of different things. I didn't necessarily think you were going to go for the straight up, let's just sniff them out. That works. That's great. I dig it. Well, there we go.
Awesome.
Players not being difficult? What? You're the greatest.
I'm good with it. I'm good with it.
Yeah. Well, my friends, that's what we're going to do in tonight's episode of The World's Tree Burns. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. If you did, let us know in the chat. We'd love to hear from you guys. And, of course, give and follow the show. Be sure to follow us to catch the rest of our shows. And consider supporting Encounter Roleplay on the Patreons. We can get a bunch of cool rewards and support the shows that you love. But let's go around the cast and crew. Did you enjoy yourselves? Where can we find you guys online? Of course, one last shout out goes to Cobalt Press for sponsoring tonight's show, along with all of the World Tree Burns campaign. Definitely go and check out the Midgard books for yourself. If you've been enjoying the story that we've been telling, you can tell stories just like it in this fantastic world. The Midgard Hero's Handbook and World Book are well worth checking out in PDF and print. But Dan, what do you think of tonight's show, my friend? Where can we find you online?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter at Dan_Dylan_1, and I had a blast tonight. I mean, I always have fun with you guys. You know, I don't have to do much. I can just throw a crumb in front of you, and you guys handle the rest. It's great. No, I like some of the interactions that we've been having. Seeing Glaz hyped up on caffeine and being just jazzed to be here around his scholarly brethren was hilarious. And I am such a huge Ranger fan that I absolutely adore that we've seen an animal friendship come out. I love it. That's one of my favorite spells in the game. So I'm totally cool with you guys circumventing an encounter by charming half of it. I'm in. And so now I don't have to pull any punches or reduce any encounters because you have an extra bear. Oh, and I will say, I will throw out here, if you're really interested in some of the stuff that we're doing and seeing what's going on, I want to point out that the Zobek Gazetteer for 5th edition is available for pre-order on the Cobalt Press store. So it's a source book all about the city of Zobek, a lot of the locations we've been talking about, some of the NPCs we've met, all of that is in there. It's going to be fantastic, and I can't wait to get my hands on it.
Awesome. Thank you, Dan, for that. Let's go to Tool School.
Oh, I had a blast. I mean, I just had an absolute blast. I love this world. I love all this stuff. I got my big, stupid, goofy grin as soon as he said we were going to the Margrave Forest. And so I'm just like, oh, all this stuff and the things and the stuff. And Glaz is such fun to play. And I love playing off of Cloak and Ryudan. It's just too much fun. So thank you guys for having me. You can find me all over the interwebs at Tall Squall. Best thing to do is go to my Twitch account, and from there, go to my Twitter account, which has links to everything that I do across the internet. And hope to see you guys around.
Thank you, Torsko. I appreciate it. And McCloken.
Hi. Yeah, I had a fucking dude. I love this campaign. It's great. I love the fact. I like how Glaz and Cloak interact with each other because, like, it's like a buddy cop movie where one guy is not a cop at all, and he's like your friendly neighbor, and then you have the shady person who wants to sacrifice you secretly to keep his village alive. So great comparison. And then you have fucking Kane and Cloak, which is Jay and Silent Bob, which is a great combo. And then I love the banter between Kari and Cloak, and then Reardon's nonchalantness where he just doesn't give a fuck, and Cloak is just like, no, like. But I had a blast. So I was to be on the animal friendship note. I most times, like, when people make rangers, they usually take Hunter's Mark and Cure Light Wounds. I took Cure Light Wounds because, fuck, I need that spell. But I was like, I want animal friendship. And then it turned out a fucking bear showed up, and I was like, you're my friend now. And then he was like, hey, what's up? And I was like, thanks, bear. And then we hung out. And Dan, you're doing a fantastic job. I had a great time.
Thank you very much.
So yeah, I'm McLoken. You can follow me on my Twitter at McLoken. I'm on a plethora of shows. I run my own D&D show on Wednesdays, which is tomorrow. That's Chosen. That's a D&D5E Final Fantasy homebrewed I made up, and that's a fantastic show. And there's shenanigans going on over there. But follow me at Twitter. I tweet out when I'm going to be on a show and where I'm going to be at, and stop on by and watch the weird characters I come up with.
Thank you so much, McLogan. And Laurelania.
Hi, I had a lot of fun today. It's really weird. Kari comes from a totally different mindset than everybody in the party of being very close to nature and very primal. And yeah, seeing Raiden just being like, fuck it, let's just go do this thing and walk out into the wild, and him just like taming bears by putting his hands out pretty much. And Glaz, Kari has a very warm spot in her heart for Glaz just because she can see the raw emotion that he puts into everything he gets excited about. Fun thing about Kari, too, is that I remember every insult I've ever received and nurse a silent resentment to anyone who has ever wronged me. So, Cloak, the game is afoot.
I forgot you had gotten that one.
That's right. You can find me on my Discord, where it's a dungeon. That one is a Dungeons and Dragons Discord, and we do old school mud/text-based D&D, and it's been going really well, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. You can also find me here on Twitch. I stream Heroes of the Storm, which is a massive online battle arena thing. It's fun. And you can follow me on Twitter, and I love you. Yes.
Thanks so much, Tia. We appreciate it, and we appreciate you guys for hanging out with us tonight, both for the Long March and, of course, for the World Tree Burns. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed yourselves. I'll be back, of course, tomorrow. I'll give you all my social media in the meantime, but I'll be back tomorrow at a time of 1 p.m. Eastern for Call of Cthulhu. I am in the Keeper seat in Doors to Darkness, and holy shit, shit's getting weird and fucking creepy. So definitely tune in for that. Then, of course, it's Warhammer Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern. I'm so fucking excited. Jim Davis from WebDM in the DMC as the witch hunters burn and pillage their way across the old world. And then last but not least, Star Wars Rise of the Dark Side, where you guys can burn worlds and have droids with feelings at the same time. So check out the full schedule of shows there. We'll hang out with you guys in Encounter Roleplay's Discord in the meantime. But until next time, my friends, try not to roll too many now ones, because we want to be here laughing when you do. Good night, everyone. Bye.
Good night.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.